I just don't feel good about being left in charge.
Well, you're always
in charge.
You always steer the ship.
You're
It
the
just
dad.
happens to be that we are also at the same time, chopping up parts of that ship.
Yeah.
That's
we're the gremlins dismantling the ship as it sails.
Yeah.
Well, you know about Brad's whole viewpoint about the leader of the car.
Oh, geez.
Leader of the car?
All right.
You got into a big fight with his grandmother about this.
I didn't get into a big fight. I just felt awkward one time.
And you
then
don't speak to her anymore.
mentioned, well, I mean...
You iced her out.
She
She called you for Christmas and you went, straight to voicemail.
Many years ago, we
You
were
left
at
her on red.
a Taco Bell
Yeah.
in Cherville, Indiana. And
Cherville.
she was driving,
Yeah.
leading the car, some would say. And I was...
No, there is one.
I was seated behind her, so I was in the rear of the car on the driver's side, and rather than
You're like a fucking police report.
Yeah, he's a living police report. He always, oh my God. It's crazy. I've been thinking about it so much lately. I love him. I love this guy.
And I say it with kindness and love.
yes,
I can't tell you how much I love
all
this guy.
police things should be treated with kindness and love. So she pulls up,
All
and
cops are Brad's.
so she pulls up to the drive-thru, and rather than asking me, a child, what I want to order,
Yeah.
she just pulls up and she's like, "Roll your window down and order." I was probably 10.
Yeah.
I had never ordered before, and to
She
me,
was trying to build confidence.
the responsibility for ordering at the drive-thru falls to the person who is driving, as they are nearest the speaker.
They're the leader of the car.
They're the leader of the car. And I mentioned this story one time to Chuck.
Yeah.
I need to just not tell him things.
I mean, that's probably your biggest issue. Yeah.
I would say, though, I think this came up because you called someone else the leader of the car.
I think so too. It was somebody was driving and somebody was riding shotgun, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, we missed an exit or something.
Oh, we had a fight about whose fault. Like when you have a navigator,
Yeah,
whose
yeah.
fault is it that you missed the exit? The navigator or the leader of the car?
Yeah.
I think that was what it was about.
That's fair.
Oh yeah,
That is
you know what
fair.
it was? It was us driving back from a senior discount show.
Yes.
And Tom, our old guitarist, was my navigator, and we were all fighting about whose fault it was that we missed the exit, and you took his side and said that I was the leader of the car.
I did say that.
If only there was a word that could mean the same but shorten leader of the car, right? If there was like a word for the person, because what do? They drive the car, right?
Yeah, they drive the car.
Could you perhaps, and no one else could be said that they are driving the car. They're riding.
So no one else has the responsibility of leading the direction of the car.
So I guess you could say they are the driver.
Yeah, one would say that.
Yeah.
But he thinks everyone
pilgrim
knows
word for it.
Well, he knows that everyone understands the driver is driving.
Yeah.
But he also thinks that anything having to do with the group that is inside the car should be decided upon by the person in the driver's seat.
I was like
Yeah.
10 years old.
Do you
you
see
called
it?
me the leader of the car 10 years ago.
Do you see it as a monarchy, or do you see it as like a
it's a-
despotic reign?
Well, it depends on the driver. Depends on the leader of the car.
The leader of the car. Maybe they're a benevolent leader of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe they're not.
It just it flipped my wig when I was young. And
That powdered one you always wear?
He never got it back.
John Adams would be like, nice wig.
yes.
Sorry, I'm watching John Adams right now
No.
with my wife. Not right now. I'm doing a
Right.
podcast with these two guys.
Yeah, leader of the car.
Leader of the pod. And I almost ate this Sharpie. I'm watching that miniseries
Yes.
from
Yeah,
HBO.
yeah.
It's from 2008.
Yeah.
But we're finally getting around to it. It is fantastic. So
believe
now
it.
all that's floating around in like the background of my mind for like pulls are all just Revolutionary War characters.
I like
right?
that. That's fun.
Yeah.
I
I'm a
think
real Ben Franklin.
I do
about it.
think. I mean, if you want to take a vote on this, I think Brad is the leader of the pod
No.
in terms of like keeping it on the rails, saying what's next,
Oh, I think
opening, closing.
I think he's the puppet leader of the pod.
Yes.
And there's a shadow government
There's
in the pod.
I think there's two hands up the old keister, but they're both trying to get me to say different things.
It's very Russian. It is very Russian where
Staring in the middle.
like it's Russia in the 90s.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is more history stuff, but it's Russia in the 90s. You are a puppet leader.
I'm the Boris Yeltsin of the podcast.
and we have two shadow governments
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are like, we're supposed to be
Working together.
like Republican and Democrat. We're supposed to be working together, but all of that has ceased, and we're like secretly plotting control.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's what's going on.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So don't be surprised if you get woken up in the middle of the night and dragged out of your house.
In any
Oh, is this about the pod?
I'm going to give you a little thing just because I don't want you to get annoyed. You have like a hair like sticking straight up.
Oh no.
So I just know that you're going to watch it later and be like, oh, why didn't someone tell me? You know
Is
what
it
I mean?
gone?
It's pretty much gone, yeah. It was way crazier
Color it in with the
a minute
Sharpie.
ago. Use your little phone. You can do it yourself.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Funbearable. I am Brad Rohr.
I am Ray Harrington.
I am Chuck, not the leader of the car, Staten.
Good. Great.
Passenger General.
It is a very special episode because it is our favorite things from the year 2023. That's how people say it. That's a gimmick I did in last year's episode, which I just rewatched.
Yeah.
Our favorite things of 2023, games and podcasts and movies and books and music and shows and everything that happened in our personal life.
Emotions.
Yes.
It's the Funbammies is what it is.
Funbammies.
The Funbammies.
Last year we tried to do Brammies, Chammies, and Our-Hammies. That was vetoed vociferously.
Yeah, but Funbammies is pretty good.
Funbammies
Sure,
makes
yeah,
sense.
Nice
yeah.
and, nice
absolutely.
and
Yeah.
succinct.
And it's a cereal that I had in 1989.
Yeah, ooh, a lot of red dye in that cereal.
Yeah. Yellow dye.
Number
What number?
Red 5 is the
Red
bad
5.
one, right?
Oh, I thought yellow dye something in Mountain Dew was supposed to be the thing that causes you to not have sperms.
No, I think that's
Oh, that
just
would
an
explain
urban legend. You know?
Nope. Exhibit A.
I don't wear condoms. I just drink a can of Mountain Dew, and I'm like, we're good.
Ew.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go through.
What a natural lull where we all just went,
We're gonna go through
Craig,
category.
add a kind of
power
powering
downs.
down. By the way, I didn't realize Sharpie made, for listeners only, I'm holding a Sharpie pen that was on the desk when we got here. Yeah. And it's purple. And it's only what I could describe as grimace purple.
Oh, they make.
Okay.
I basically, I think Sharpie is now like, rivaling.
It's the Crayola of marker world.
That's what I think it is.
But this is grimace purple.
Yeah,
It's Grimace Purple.
Grimace
that's
purple.
an accurate description.
Yeah, that's good. I like
Grimace
it.
carries one of these.
I'd kind
If
of
he
love
gets
to.
a raw patch.
I wish I was
It.
just like carefree and I just bought all the colors of Sharpie and just drawing all day. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I like that.
There's a name for that. Artist.
But it would all be like, is there a market for insulting caricatures of Brad? Because that's all he's drawing all day.
I do love it.
Man, have you seen those videos on social media, like Instagram or something, where it's caricature artists and they show the caricature that they've done and then they pull the camera up to reveal the person, and it's so mean and so funny.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's a clip of them showing the person and they're like, oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Doing a caricature, fine, whatever. I do feel like it's one of those, it is the most impulse buy thing you can do.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this will be fun, and then you get it and you just have this piece of paper where I'm like, well, I just look like an ugly piece of crap.
Oh, I know.
This is only highlighting my flaws, right?
I know.
But I would not do it if this caricature artist was like, also real quick, before I show you, do you mind if I put this on Instagram?
So that thousands of
Yeah.
strangers
I
can
got-
see the unflattering way I've drawn you.
One time I did it with my ex-girlfriend and I looked at the actual character thing at the end and I was like, oh man, this is one of those mean character artists. And they're like, no. I was like, damn it.
He's got all these awards behind him, like most accurate caricature 2015.
I believe it was Leonardo da Vinci, wasn't it? And he got his sketchbook out.
It's just a photographer. He didn't draw anything.
What did he say? He said, "Mamma mia."
It's just a photographer is great too.
All right, let's get into
it. What are we
this
talking
list.
about?
We will start with games.
Because
Typically,
everybody's champing at the bit.
Oh,
yeah, they
to
need to
hear
know.
what
Good use of
how
champ.
we feel
Yeah.
about the things from the year.
a lot
Yeah,
of people
they
say
know-
chomping at the
they-
bit.
No, it's
It's
not
champing.
true.
It is
It's
champing.
Champing.
But
Hey.
I prefer chomping.
I know.
I prefer
it's
chomping, too.
becoming more acceptable, but
Yeah.
for language purists like me, champing.
We should do an episode where Brad tells us all the right phrases that people use wrong all the time. Because there's a ton of them, right?
There are, yeah.
Like, that'd be great. You're
I mean,
looking
I would love it.
Well, why don't we run it up the stairs and see who falls? That was a
Perfect.
joke because
Yes.
it was run it up the.
I get it.
Flagpole. Please tell me what the
I
next
fell
thing
down
is.
the stairs a few weeks ago.
Oh, he
that
fell
tracks.
down bad.
That
Yeah.
tracks. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about games typically of the video variety.
Those damn Heelys. I like that as a character trait
Yeah.
for like character Brad.
Yeah.
To be an adult Heelys wearer.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to see him cruising down the street. Just like with his hands in his pocket, completely still.
Obeying the speed limit.
I would love for it to be actual Brad trait.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
now
fun.
who's leader of the car?
Hello, Taco Bell. I've decided what I wanted to order from 35 years ago.
One taco, please.
Hold the cheese and lettuce.
And the meat.
And the taco
And
meat.
also not crazy about the shell.
So, but here's $1.19.
It's a texture thing.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
I thought you said here's a check, and I'm like,
I heard
oh
it's
my
a
God.
Dexter thing.
It's a texture
But
thing.
that's
Yeah.
probably also accurate.
All right.
By the way, me paying at Taco Bell via check tracks. Favorite handheld or mobile game?
We're doing video games.
Video games.
first.
Yeah.
For the millionth year in a row for me, it's the New York Times Games app, specifically the crossword.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
it every day. I've done it every day. This year they added a couple other games, Letterboxed, Connections, things like that.
What's the letterbox game?
Letterboxed, there
Oh,
are
you pick the frames?
there are 12 letters around a square, and you have to use them all in different words. And they give you a target like, oh, use it in 5 words or 4
Oh,
words.
I see,
and so
I
you
see.
make the words. And then connections, there are 16 things, and there are 4 categories.
Nice.
And you have to figure out what links them.
Okay, cool.
But it's my morning routine.
Yeah.
Get up, do the crossword.
It's how you keep the Alzheimer's at bay.
Barely
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
bay. Barely.
It's like fighting the tide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, it's funny. Like I love Mario Kart, and so, I grew up with Mario Kart 64. I played a few of them in between, but I want to go back and beat all the Mario Kart games. So I've been playing Mario Kart DS, which is one of the ones I haven't beaten. I'm getting
Nice.
there.
I like that.
Is it 200 or like 150 cc?
Yeah, of course, the hardest.
Because I go through I play all the 50 cc's so I can learn the tracks, but I play Mario Kart so infrequently that it doesn't help at all.
He goes through and I can't even get into it. He plays it at the slowest setting, then he plays it at the medium setting, and then he plays it at the hardest setting, and he beats the game on every setting.
He's getting his money's worth.
Yeah, that's
really
true,
am.
right?
Yeah.
It really is.
Then I play online against my nephew and he destroys me.
Yeah.
So,
That's fair.
Yeah.
That is fair. And he calls you the N word.
oh yeah.
That's rough.
Well, I deserve it.
Yeah.
Oh, I was trying to
he
think
got
of it.
kicked out of Call of Duty. So you're going to notice a trend here. I have a lot of
We all have blind spots. I'm going to have some missing categories. Ray's going to have some. Brad probably won't.
And I also have different categories,
Yeah.
right? Stuff that I wanted to include that wasn't necessarily on the list.
Yeah,
so
we're loosey and goosey.
Yeah, we
yeah,
are
so
Lucy
I don't
Goose.
have, and I'll be juicy, juicy goosey Lucy.
Yeah.
And Lucy over here, goosey,
Goosey,
yeah, always honking. Loves bread.
I mean, that
Yeah.
also tracks.
Yeah. So I don't have a favorite handheld game, but I do have a favorite sequel.
Ooh,
Okay,
okay.
sure.
And it was tough to say this, but I think if you move the category, it makes sense.
Yes.
You'll see in a minute. Favorite sequel, Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
I haven't played it yet. Waiting for it to come free on Game Pass.
I think
What is it for?
it's PS5, Xbox,
Okay.
Yeah. PlayStation, Xbox.
Yeah.
I think
It's a current
PC.
gen
Steam,
game.
yeah.
I think it's the reason I wanted it as a favorite sequel is I think it's a perfect example of how to improve upon the first game.
Which was Jedi Fallen Order. Great game.
And
Yeah.
I think taking it really is a textbook. Like, oh, they listened to the people that played the first game.
Yeah.
They looked at what they could improve upon
Yeah.
and did that. And like no notes.
Yeah.
Great job. So
Yeah.
it was a really fun game to play. That's
Yeah.
that's my favorite sequel.
Nice.
Next up was favorite retro. Chuck and I and some other friends played an open bore Marvel game
Yeah.
in which somebody took source code and redesigned sprites, and you could be all these different characters from the Marvel universe. But one thing I appreciated was that with 4 players, they didn't upscale the difficulty.
Yeah.
And so we just like had fun. and were never challenged. And it was just a night to hang out and have fun. So it's a great night with pals.
Yeah, Open Board is like basically like an open source app, let's say, and people can just take sprites from different games that exist and put them in and just kind of combine them and do whatever they want. Just so people understand what that is. And for me, I think it was a very similar night that we played an old Dungeons and Dragons arcade beat 'em up.
Yep.
And we played Knights of Valor.
Yes.
And that's like one of my favorite things to do is when I'm in Rhode Island, like getting Brad and my buddy Corey, Jordan, Craig together and like beating an old like 4-player arcade game. And like we just knock them out. We'll do like 3 in a night and it's like super fun. So that was my favorite retro. It was one of those two.
I like that. I don't have a favorite retro, but I will say my favorite retro was playing the absurd throwback beat 'em up games with Siobhan.
Yeah.
In New York, and that episode came out this year, so it tracks.
That's
Even though
fair.
we played it,
That's
the year
fair.
before.
That's fair.
It was Roar.
We played that in 1995.
Yes.
It was brand new. The games were new.
Andrew Chavone,
It was just bored.
he wasn't even thinking about doing stand up yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he decided to do it after that episode.
Yeah,
You're welcome, Andrew, and sorry, everyone else.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Boom.
Favorite multiplayer game? For me, the game I spent probably too much time playing multiplayer was Halo Infinite. Years ago, I was a big Halo 2 guy, and this is like 2004-ish, because I would play online with my friend who at the time was single. I was working as a graduate assistant and had housing provided, so I didn't have a lot to do. And so I had ample time not only to play a lot of Halo 2, but stay up super late playing Halo 2. That advanced a little bit with Halo 3, and then my friend got married, and his video game time dropped precipitously. So Halo Infinite is, I'm just playing with strangers. I'm not making friends. I'm not doing voice chat.
Do you argue over who is the leader of the Warthog?
No, because that's very clear. It's whoever's driving the Warthog is the leader of the Warthog.
Whoever says the N-word loudest.
Yes. But I spent a lot of time because
Inhaling.
I have
a cartoonish.
there's a megaphone next to the. So yeah, I spent a lot of time, and they throw in their little dumb rewards where it's like, oh, you advanced a level, so you get new shoulder armor, and I'm like, I don't care about any of that. I just want to not be as bad as I was.
Yeah.
And I was still pretty bad, but it was definitely fun and a way to spend. Again, probably too much time, especially over the summer, because it was like, oh, I can pick it up, I can play a game or two, and it's half an hour, and then I can go do whatever I need to do. So
Yeah.
Halo Infinite for me.
For me, it was a similar video game night, and we played the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge DLC like this year, and it was super fun. It was
great.
And my runner-up was Brad and I played through a game called The Hunt Down, which is for like current gen systems. It's a side-scrolling shooting game, and it's all based in the world of like 80s action. So in the game, there's a ton of references to Escape from New York, RoboCop, Terminator, like different scenes
fun,
happen
yeah.
in the background. And when we played it, I was blown away by the attention to detail and how well it was designed. It was great. The Hunt Down, and I don't know one knows about it, but if you like side-scrolling stuff, look up The Hunt Down. It's awesome.
Yeah, similar to that, playing a few Xbox-based games.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Oh yeah, that's right. This year Ray got an
Yeah.
Xbox for the first time because Brad and I are Brad's like a buy guy. He likes all the systems.
Yep.
And I do too, but I mostly do Xbox because they actually let you build your library.
Yeah.
And Game Pass is great. And Ray grabbed Xbox for what game?
Starfield.
Starfield.
But
We'll get to it.
But you got Game Pass too.
Yeah,
And you get
so
to play a bunch of
I'm
games.
able to play that stuff because Starfield came out exclusively for Xbox.
Yes.
We talked on the phone. You convinced you talked me into it for sure.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I was able to play some games with Finn, my son, and in line with that kind of 80s throwbacky vibe, 90s throwbacky vibe. Broforce.
Yeah.
So much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, Finn's kind of tapped out on it at this point because it's getting a little more challenging. Because
Yeah.
in that game, one hit, you're done.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. But multiplayer, it didn't come out this year.
Yeah.
But I played it again this year, and I want to give it credit. It Takes Two.
Yeah.
It's so good. When it first came out, Lee Leshin and I, fan of the pod,
Yeah.
during quarantine, we played it and had a blast. He was
Yeah.
in his place in New York. I was in my place, and we had a great time playing it.
It's a game. The narrative is a couple is getting divorced.
The narrative is
So-
fucking wild.
Well,
It is.
Chuck and I started to play it, and we're like, this hits too close to home.
It was tough. It was sad. It's like basically like Pixar
Yeah.
made like a 2-player side scroller.
Yeah,
Or not side
absolutely.
scroller, open world game kind
Yeah,
of.
and then a magical Spanish book of love comes to life and tells them what they need to do because they
Yes.
turned into dolls. Anyway,
Yeah. Of course.
the gameplay is really tight, and I
Yes.
really like it a lot. It's very well done. And what I was impressed with was I played it with Finn this year.
Yeah.
And we had tried it, I think, last year, but it was a little too much for him when it got to like more specifically timed events.
Okay. Yep.
And so playing it through with him, he loved it. We beat it.
Yeah.
He had a great time with it.
Yeah.
And I think that says something that 2 grown men could play it. And then I
And-
could play it with a 9-year-old
I know.
and have a blast.
No, that's great. That's
my,
awesome.
That's my number 2.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's
Or
great.
multiplayer, sorry.
Yeah. How are you liking Game Pass?
It's good. It gives me a chance to like try stuff.
Yeah.
I do think it suffers a little bit from that. Look at this huge library, and then you get like a little further into it, and you're like, there are some like instant no's on here.
Oh,
you know
for
what
sure.
I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
But it's like a streaming platform.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun. Can I throw this in really quick because we
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
talked about it? Biggest absolute letdown and quite badly built game.
Could be anything.
Could be anything. And what it is Starfield. It's absolutely Starfield. I bought a fucking Xbox to play Starfield. I love Bethesda's RPGs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fallout, one of my favorite franchises.
Yeah,
Love the
yeah.
heck out of it. I even like Fallout 4, and a lot of people hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I love New Vegas.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I'm replaying New Vegas.
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
And I'll probably go back through. I might play New Vegas because that's on Xbox Game Pass.
Yep.
But Starfield, I was already like, wow, it's only Xbox because Microsoft bought them.
Yep.
I really want to play the game. And that's when we had that conversation. I got it.
Yeah.
I could spend an hour breaking down why
Oh,
I
I
don't
know.
think
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
I do think it's like super outdated. I think the gameplay feels like 10 years ago
Yeah.
because that's when they started it. And I'm just so profoundly disappointed in a game that is supposed to be exploration and wonder. And the game's like, you can't explore, you just fast travel to little pockets on this map.
Yeah.
And the map is unbearable to deal with.
Yeah.
Here's all these little dots.
Yeah.
That doesn't say what system it is. You just have to kind of remember that. I think it was vaguely over here. Anyway,
Yeah.
I could get into a lot of details. I was really surprised. I was really surprised. It's the first game I've ever just straight up deleted after one too many bugs happened. I was like, I'm done. Why am I even doing this again?
Yeah.
I'm out of here. And I just deleted the game.
We had talks on the phone late at night, and I think I've heard people talk about their divorces with less passion than you talked about. How
Well, they
disappointed you
fucking
were.
let me down. I made a commitment to Bethesda, and you
made a real commitment.
Todd did it again, and
Yeah, it's tough.
they screwed me over with Fallout 76,
Yeah.
and now this, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know you anymore. You know what I mean?
was
I don't
a
even
divorce
know
grown
you
apart.
anymore.
Just grown apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people grow, and some people don't. And Bethesda's not growing. Bethesda's just quadrupling down.
Yeah.
I hate it. I'm so sorry. Anyway,
Next
moving
category,
on.
Brad.
I just wanted to throw the negative one in.
Favorite Nintendo game.
I think we're probably gonna have similar ones.
I spent a lot of time with 3, one of which is my favorite overall game. So my favorite just Nintendo game. I played through Metroid Dread this
Oh,
year.
cool. That's cool.
And it was very fun, very well done,
Yeah.
but very much I needed a walkthrough.
Mm.
I mean, I 100%ed Mario Wonder in the past 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Including all the super hard challenges. There was only 2. But I loved Mario Wonder. I thought it was controlled super well. It was visually fun. It was entertaining
Yeah.
the entire time. It was different.
It's a great project.
But yeah, so Mario Wonder was my favorite Nintendo game. Charlie?
Mario Wonder was mine as well, and I haven't beaten it yet, but I put a ton of time into it. And I really enjoy it to the point where like I had a single player campaign and a multiplayer campaign that I would just pick up and me and Brad would play. But I actually play my Switch a lot. Like I play a lot of random casual games like Donkey Kong Country and Mario Kart and all that stuff like that. Like and
But you
Mario
hate
Sunshine.
the game Random Casual,
Yeah.
which is weird.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
But
It's
Mario
too
Wonder.
laid back, you said.
But Mario Wonder for sure is my Nintendo game of the year.
Mine is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like it's huge, it's great. And that was a real struggle doing favorite sequel and in terms of improving upon the first game.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say. So that's why I wanted to separate those two things.
Yes, for sure.
But I think it's a really fantastic game. All the positive things that could be said about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom have been said.
Yep.
It's really wonderful.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Favorite Sony game this year? I played through Ratchet and Clank, which was very fun. I played through the original God of War that came out for PS4. I played through The Last of Us Part 2 that came out for
what I
PS4,
wanna play
which
too.
was an amazing narrative. Really one of the most emotionally affecting games I've ever played. But in terms of also being fun, God of War Ragnarok was my favorite Sony game of the year.
I didn't really play any Sony games this year. I do have Last of Us 2 on the docket, and I still have to beat Spider-Man Miles Morales. I haven't beaten it yet. I played through like half of it two
Yeah.
Christmases ago.
Yeah.
And I don't have my PS4 even plugged in right now.
Right.
So it's just like,
Last year you said, I played through 2/3 of Miles Morales.
oh yeah.
Now
I
it's
know.
gone down to 50%.
I don't know how
Chuck's
many hours
losing
I put
progress.
Yeah,
I probably put 18 hours into
Yeah.
it. How long do you think it is?
I have no idea.
I don't know. It depends on what you do.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But I love the beginning. I love the whole mall thing with the rhino.
Yep.
I thought the opening
Cinematics?
logos
Yeah.
were awesome.
It was telling me to press start, and I was like, hang on, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pretty
I
soon.
spent some time on that one level main menu.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
The options.
The options alone.
So difficult.
Oh my god! And they do a thing with the sound options you don't expect.
Yes.
So this was hard for me because there's two.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
because it's just fun.
Yep.
However, I think in terms of what it could be,
Yeah.
I can't call it like it doesn't belong in the category of, favorite sequel
Right.
that improved upon the first. I think it did some things that improve upon the original Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of stuff that felt kind of rushed and a little light.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, and it was really fun and it was great. But I think there's more narrative punch in the first game and in Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And I think this was a little weaker.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little bloated.
Yeah.
And in the original game, about 3/4, 2/3 of the way through, there's a big event that changes things,
Yeah.
and so the gameplay is a little different. In this one, they do that same thing, but the change is almost too dramatic.
Yeah, you go from being Spider-Man to being Wolverine.
Yes, yeah, no, but it changes the landscape a little too much,
Yeah.
and the enemies are a specific thing that really makes you feel like you're stuck on the rails of the narrative, where you can't peel off and do other side quest stuff.
Yeah.
The narrative part kind of kills the idea of
An open
let me
world.
be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and do this little side mission
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
this
yeah.
person, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, the world's crumbling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the first, it was a little more organic,
Yeah.
and it felt better. So I have to give it to God of War,
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah. You love that game.
It's incredible. I cried at the end of the first game, and I cried at the end of this one. I'm a dad, and that game is about a dad, and it's a dad story.
Yep.
But it's. I can't say enough good things about
Yeah.
it. Right?
Yeah.
The acting, the voice acting is incredible. The writing is so strong, and it does a really fun job of really just giving you this fun experience in that world.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
bravo.
Did you see the Insomniac leak recently?
I saw some stuff about it. Yeah.
I didn't see any of the actual stuff. I just read an
Right.
article about it. But it was like what? Like, I mean, it showed stuff from the Wolverine game that everyone knows about. But then
Yeah.
it like revealed like a Venom game, right?
I believe so.
And then an
Yeah.
X-Men game, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. But yeah, I'd love to play through the Spider-Man games for
They're
PlayStation.
very fun.
And
They're
I can't
very
wait
fun.
for the Wolverine one. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I love Insomniac.
It's tricky because like there's stuff in that second game that I really like, but or Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
But I think if I was picking up another one of the Spider-Man games to replay and enjoy, which I thought often about doing with the first one,
Yeah.
I would reach for the first or for Miles Morales.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just more satisfying.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It's very strange.
There was a game called Spider-Man Web of Shadows that I fucking loved, and it was for like 360 and PS3. And it's a game that no one ever talks about, but it's really well done. And
See, I played the other one and I didn't like it. Spider-Man Webinar of Shadows.
Yeah.
So boring. So boring. You play as Peter Parker making a slideshow.
yeah, PowerPoint.
Yeah, making a PowerPoint slideshow.
Right, that's right.
Who cares?
You're like, oh, I want to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, let me sling.
Yeah.
Let me swing, sling,
All
flip.
you're slinging is PowerPoint slides.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let me. And you're not
Brad, by the way,
shooting
Brad
webs.
loved it.
I do.
Oh, yeah, you loved it. You're not shooting webs. You're like clicking and dragging in clip art. It's boring.
Oh my gosh, my work with the transitions in Webinar of Shadows.
Yeah. Oh, Brad's star wipe, star wipe,
Yes.
star wipe, star wipe.
There was
Throw a Star Wipe on it. Yeah, that's fun.
I'll say there was a
George Lucas is sitting next to you. I like that.
there was a Spider-Man game that Chuck was playing for the 360, and this is early on in our
This is
friendship.
Web of Shadows.
Yeah, and I went over and he's like, at some point he pressed pause and it's like, do you want to power up your character? And Chuck's like, huh? And he clicked it, and he had played half the game without putting any new stats into any skills. And he's like, whoa, I can throw people now.
This guy's like a superhero.
Yeah, he was a hero.
What's crazy is like I got so good at the game because
Yeah, you never upgraded. Yeah.
I'm just Peter Parker.
Yeah. Did you know this guy could shoot spider webs? Wow.
It's true. It was really crazy.
Yeah.
I felt so stupid. That's not the first time that happened to me.
I like the idea of you playing that and it's all you know of Spider-Man and you never do any of that stuff.
Yep.
So you walk away thinking Spider-Man is like kick-ass, basically.
Yeah.
yeah.
I wish he had superpowers.
That's
I
so
wonder why
that'd
they
be
call him
cool.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, why do they call him Spider-Man?
Favorite Microsoft game. I played through Guardians of the Galaxy. I played through Broforce. I played through Deathloop. I played through Starfield, which I enjoyed more than Ray did because number one, I encountered 0 game-killing bugs.
Yeah, I encountered all of that.
Thank you for diving on that grenade for me.
Yeah.
But also, I and this is something we talked about, have talked about several times. I have I like leveling up gene where I get like the dopamine rush
Only
from
in
like
games, though.
only in games. In real life, keep me static.
In real life, you're Chuck's Spider-Man.
Yes.
One of my favorite things ever is that Brad revealed to me one time that he played Angry Birds every day for over a year because if you did, one of the birds would get a cowboy hat.
It wasn't a cowboy hat. It's a different hat.
So were there days where you were like, I have to play, otherwise it won't count my streak?
I got it. I got it taken care of. It was early on. I'm like, wake up.
Do you poop every day?
Yes.
Spending a year playing.
God damn it.
I didn't spend
and then,
a year playing the game.
And then at the end of that, are you like, you get the hat, but you're like, I'm so burnt out on this stupid game.
Yeah.
They've also come out with 2 other Angry Birds that I haven't played yet.
Yeah.
And that one gets a feather in his cap.
What was the hat? If it wasn't,
Oh, I don't even remember.
yeah, you do. Come on.
No, I don't. And it was
It was a crow boy hat.
You
It doesn't work because it's a different pronunciation.
You get like certain points that you can use, and basically you can like upgrade your birds, but like similar to Chuck playing Peter Parker Web of Shadows. I'm like,
Webinar of Shadows.
I'm like, I don't care about upgrading the birds. Just knock down a pig so I can get my credit for playing today.
Yeah. That's what you say at the grocery store, too. Knock that pig
Knock that
down.
pig down.
Let me get my
out of my
shit.
way.
Yeah.
But Starfield, so when I'm playing through Starfield and encountering some of the same frustrations as Ray, where it's a game about exploration, but every planet is already explored.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I just want my guy to be better with guns. I just want my guy to be a better pilot. I just want my guy to do, and
I want
and
my
that's,
guy to find love.
yeah,
You can find
he
love.
can,
Yeah.
tragically. Anyway, I I enjoyed Starfield more than Ray did, but my favorite Microsoft game of the year was one I probably started in previous years, but this was the year I actually like got into it and understood it. Was Back 4 Blood.
Excel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Back
Yeah.
for Blood.
No,
Okay, sorry.
Excel is that's we had to retire it because it kept being my favorite Microsoft game of the year.
Back for Blood rules. I bought
Yeah,
the
Back 4 Blood. Great. Great
me
game.
and Brad bought the expanded gold, platinum, whatever the fuck edition
Back 5 Blood.
when it was on sale for like $10. And I kind of like, I think I told you, I was like, I'm going to try it. I think it'd be great. And you bought it, and like, I want to play it and beat it, but I haven't done it yet. I love Back for Blood.
Yeah.
My favorite Microsoft game, they re-released GoldenEye 007 this
Oh,
year.
yeah, they did.
After over 20, I think it was about 20 years of rights issues. 25 years, actually, I think, because I think it was 96. Because the game was owned by Rare, who made it, and Nintendo, and then Microsoft bought Rare. And it's an IP owned by who owns?
I think
Is it MGM?
I think so.
Yeah.
So it's like a thing where it's like MGM, Nintendo, and Microsoft had to agree on whatever the split was for rights.
Right.
So it took 25 years to re-release, but they did it this year on Nintendo and Xbox, and they updated the controllers to be like modern first-person shooter controllers, but kept the graphics exactly the same. And I was like, I'm gonna beat this fucking game on hard because I used to love that game when I was like a teenager. It was so difficult. If you looked at how many hours I put into this game from 1996 that has these blocky characters in it, it was insane, but I did it. And it was so satisfying and so much fun.
It's so fun you mention it, and I can just, there's so many sense memories of
Yeah.
that
Oh,
yeah.
game, because that's the game that I played too.
You should pick it up on Game Pass. Like,
Yeah,
just-
I did. Yeah,
it's-
Finn and I played like a little bit, but it's not. I don't think it's for him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's hard. It's really hard.
But I have a sense memory. You started talking about it, and all I can hear is when he starts taking hits, and it's like that.
yeah, polite coughs.
Yeah.
Very British. Very British.
Pardon me.
I bet I could do.
I seem to be bleeding out.
I wonder if I could, if I listened to the game, I bet I could like copy the sound effects exactly for all the guys where it's like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
I like how you said if I listen to it, I could be an identical sound
I
man.
bet I could do it.
What's his name? Something Winslow.
Carl-
isn't it?
Michael Winslow.
Michael Winslow.
Yeah.
Carl Winslow.
But yeah,
Imagine if Carl Winslow,
Carl Winslow.
loved sound effects, right? Hey, Urkel, get over here.
I'll say Mario Wonder, when you 100% it, you can do a little badge, and it's people making all the sound effects. Like instead of the sound effects, it's a guy going like bloop, 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 or whatever
that's
whatever
funny.
sound. Yeah.
that's
Oh,
cool.
that's fun.
But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It took me months to beat this game on hard, and it was so much fun.
That's great.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't have a favorite Microsoft
Yeah.
because the only like solo Microsoft thing
Yeah.
that I played outside of like Broforce, I enjoy
Yeah.
that a lot, was Starfield, and so that you already heard my review of that. So here's my last video game category for myself here. Game I am very intrigued by, but very intimidated to jump into.
Okay.
So it's given me pause.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
I've heard nothing but fantastic things about that game,
Yes.
how amazing it is, how
Yes.
overwhelming it is to like the level of detail, the options you can have, and how other devs are like super pissed off about this game because it's giving an unrealistic idea of what a game can deliver.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, wow, holy shit. Yeah, oh, for sure. You should,
Wow.
read into this.
I have seen people talk about it a
Yeah.
lot. I don't really know that much about
It's
it.
turn-based.
Yeah.
It's extremely RPG.
Yeah.
Like, using like essentially the rules of Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
I'm like, I play like, RPG for me is like a Bethesda,
Yeah.
Skyrim,
Yeah.
Fallout, things like that.
Right.
So it seems extremely intimidating.
Yeah.
But everything I see about it, I'm like, that's pretty cool that
Yeah.
wow, they even thought of that. You can do it this way, you can do it that way.
Yeah.
And how everybody has essentially a different experience with this game because there are so many options that then pay off later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's wild.
Yeah.
And so I want to get into it. I really do. But it seems like such a steep learning curve.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I want to do it, but I also don't want it to feel like homework.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
know.
have to get through that period to enjoy it. Like The Witcher 3, I love that game. That's
Right.
one of
Yeah.
my favorite games. That's closer to traditional RPG.
Yeah.
But it still is kind of shortcutting a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And even that game has a fairly steep learning curve at the beginning.
Yes.
So yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, if any listener viewers are BG3 heads, write in funbearablepod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Let me know. Like, is this going to be something where I'm like, beautiful minding and
Yeah.
like trying to be like, wait, his hit
Yeah.
points are, but no, because he has fire, so that's a multiplier. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to. I don't know. You know?
I know.
Yeah, but it looks fun. And Chuck, for you, you can fuck like anything in this game.
Whoa,
apparently.
like a rock?
That's your first thing. It's cool because rocks don't say no.
Well, it's hard to do it in real life. I know that.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if the game allowed
Can
me.
we tell people? I think the statute of limitations is over. If you're familiar with the state of New Hampshire, they had the man in the mountain. Had being the operative word.
Yeah.
He didn't crumble because of like erosion or anything. It was shame.
Yeah. And then Chuck, like stands up, dusts himself off, and goes, "I guess we learned he's a spitter." It's like, why did he say it like Johnny Carson? I guess you learned he was a spitter. But no, yeah. Let me know about Baldur's Gate. No, people famously, there's a thing in it where people are talking about where like you can like fuck a bear. It's insane.
Oh, I don't know if I'd fuck the bear. He's mean.
I like that you went. He is mean. And I mean, you had a bear in mind. You're like Yogi.
Yeah.
You know why? He's cutting.
Well, I'm
He'll
scared-
say a thing that cuts you to the bone.
I'm thinking of the bear from The Revenant.
Oh yeah, that sex scene. That's a rough sex scene. Wow. Yeah. They did not have an intimacy coordinator on that.
It shows the importance of that role on a movie set.
And Chuck's takeaway is like, wow, Leonardo DiCaprio nutted so hard he almost died.
Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Your final breath. Tell me.
Hell yes. I'll do it again. Just give me a couple of months.
I hate it.
All right.
That was fun.
My favorite overall game of the year was Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah. Wow.
I just such a fun world to get lost in.
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful.
It's zero game breaking bugs, and
Imagine.
yeah,
Imagine fucking caring about your customer.
yeah. And just a great game. And then, again, my nephew is 13 and he's playing it and he's, texting me like, oh, I got more of this. And it's just like, again, last year's episode, Chuck talked about how Zelda brought Brad and Ray together, our shared love of Zelda.
Yeah.
Chuck, of course, took credit for telling you that Zelda was good.
Yeah.
And Chuck's like, you guys are really friends because of me. But we're like, no, it's really Zelda.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom
I think
is...
Link brought us together.
Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is giving my nephew and me something to talk about.
Oh, that's great.
I'll say I bought him Skyrim for Christmas, and so he opened it. He's like, "Ooh, Ski Rim," and I'm like, "Oh boy, this is going to be a long." But we're gonna take some time this week, and I downloaded it for the Xbox. He has it for the Switch, and I'm like, let's make our characters together at the same time so that I can answer questions and everything. Because there's a learning curve to Bethesda games as well.
Sure, yeah.
Like when I played Fallout 3, I didn't know you could press a button to wait. So they're like, oh, the shop will be open in the morning. I'm like, but
You just
it's
put your
it's
controller
evening.
down and walk away.
He puts his nightcap on.
I'm into it.
Melatonin.
Yeah, no, I really did. I like had my controller and like walked around and did things and come back and check the time. And
Oh,
I'm like, oh
man.
my gosh, it's only 12:30 a.m.
Yeah.
And like,
That's insane.
well,
Oh,
I thought it was insane that the game didn't have a mechanic to wait. And then they're like, press the select button. I'm like, oh.
Speaking of, Bethesda's wait function in Starfield,
Yep.
like almost feels like a penalization. It penalizes you for using it because I don't know about you, and it's never been the same. It's always different, and I think it's an issue with the game.
Okay.
When I was playing it, sometimes you get a progress bar that goes down in the hours that you've selected to wait or sleep, and it goes fairly quickly, right?
Yeah.
But there would be many, many times if I did that, maybe to speak to a merchant or something like that. It would go so slow. I would put the controller down. I'd like check my fucking email and stuff like that. It was ridiculous.
There's another game.
Yeah.
It's funny, actually. Red Dead Redemption, the original Red Dead Redemption, the first one. I remember like way later, people are like, "Oh, there's a fast travel in that game that no one knew about or used because you had to like." Basically, it didn't. The game never. There was never a point where it told you.
Yeah.
And you basically anywhere you've previously discovered, if you set up a base camp anywhere else, you can fast travel to anywhere you've discovered. But like they didn't make it obvious, so a lot of people didn't know that until after they beat the game. Similar thing where they're just like riding a horse across the whatever and then riding it back. You know, hilarious.
And I don't have this in my list for video games, but on your note for favorite game, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, for all of the huge upgrades and additions to the game that they made, like the entire underworld, all that stuff, the sky islands, beautiful, wonderful. Got to give them a credit for this. We should create a new category called something along the lines of creating magic and wonder for wells. The game changed it so like every time you go to a new little camp or something like that, or you'll come across them naturally in the world, there's wells.
Yeah.
But you can go in the well, and there's always something in some kind of cave down there.
Right. Yeah.
A magic thing, an enemy, whatever. A little story from somebody left a book, whatever.
Yep.
But every time in that game, I'm like, oh, well. I get so excited. And Finn and I would joke about it. Somebody has like a decorative well in their front, like side yard by our house. Every time we drive by, it's always like, we should check out that well. You know what I mean?
That's fun.
Yeah, it's very good.
That's
it's very
really
good.
fun. For me, favorite overall game, I know this is going to sound crazy. I love Saints Row. I love it. I think
that's so fucking crazy.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I think that there are a few games. It's like a new thing in gaming where, and it's the developer's fault. When they release a game and it's buggy, like Starfield, I think what happens is it gets a million bad reviews and people flip out and everyone kind of writes it off. And then the developers, because of the backlash, have to fix a million things. And so if you play it later, I think you get a great experience, but the world has already written it off. And it happened with Redfall. It happened with Saints Row. It happened with the new GTA Definitive Trilogy. That was a huge one, right?
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk was a huge one.
Yep.
And it's like, I know it's the developer's fault because what they're doing is putting it out before it's done, essentially.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's funny because the people that work there, it's not their fault. They're basically being overworked to the fucking release day.
Yeah.
But I think that happened with Saints Row. And I'm playing it and I'm like, this is so much fun. It feels like it feels just like Saints Row 2 to me. And like they had the DLC that came out this year that was basically Fast and Furious. And you have to do the thing where you're helping someone through a heist and you catch them with the helicopter with the magnet on it after they jump off a thing and all the other cars go after them. And it's so much fun. The wingsuit is fun. I love it. I had so much fun with it. And it's definitely the game I played the most this year.
Interesting.
There you go.
It was great. Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it, there's a LARPing storyline. And I know that's kind of like a fun, cool idea, but I wish it was like a one-off 10-minute thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of like 4 consistent story threads throughout the game. And I'm like, that's the only one that I'm just like, this one is boring.
Yeah, because you're shooting you've got cardboard armor and you're shooting Nerf guns.
Oh boy.
It's a fun idea. It's funny because
it's a fun like side quest that you just do and then it's done.
it should be 75% through the game, so you're powering up and doing all this crazy stuff, and then you get brought down to it as a joke for like a few minutes, and then you continue. But it's like a big part of it. So but it's very fun. I stand by it. I know it's crazy. I know it's crazy.
That's fucking bananas.
I bet Redfall could be fun too, although I haven't really played that.
Redfall right now it's $5 at GameStop.
Yeah.
It came out this year.
Yeah.
Is it? You think it's that bad? I never really played it.
I looked into it because it looked fun to me as well.
It looked really
and
fun.
I've watched some stuff about it, and it's all of that is like, oh, okay, never mind.
Well, is it? But has it been improved? Because that's kind of at launch.
I haven't heard anything about like it getting better. I haven't seen, and I also haven't even seen like a thumbnail come up that's like Redfall. It's good now. You know what I mean?
I feel like I feel like the world just writes stuff off so quick that you wouldn't. Like, I think Cyberpunk is supposed to be good now, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is, yeah. But I see plenty of like little videos come up in my feed that are like,
Phantom
here's
Liberty
how,
saved Cyberpunk.
yeah,
Oh,
here's
really?
how Cyberpunk like came back and became a fantastic game,
Oh,
like
cool,
a lot of
cool.
that stuff. So I think the idea of like, yes, I think people write things off too quickly.
Yeah.
But never underestimate the overwhelming thirst and need
Yeah.
for content.
I
So
know.
if there is a change,
Yeah.
there's going to be 1,000 YouTubers that are like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's different now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't have an overall, favorite.
That's all right.
right.
In a different world, it would have been Starfield.
Yeah.
In another universe,
Yeah,
it would have been
That's
Starfield.
one of the themes of Starfield.
That's also another reason why, like, hey, maybe speed things up a little bit, Bethesda, because this multiverse idea 10 years ago, interesting.
Yep.
Cool sci-fi idea. Now, tired.
Hey, 5 years from now, when we're playing Elder Scrolls 6,
Here's what pisses me off too. Now I have to wait so long for a genuine Fallout game.
yeah,
Ray's like 58.
So long. Fallout 76 ruined the idea of having a Fallout game come out in a reasonable amount of time, and that game is nothing. It has none of what I want a Fallout game for.
Yeah,
right.
That was also universally kind of like, what is this? Why is this happening? It's like a dead world.
Yeah.
And not in a good way.
Yeah.
So they screwed it up with that, and GTA, right? GTA 5.
Yeah.
They went with GTA Online and they poured everything into that. And in the new like leak stuff that's been out,
Yeah.
someone this came out. There was going to be a single player DLC like the previous game, GTA 4, and the single player DLC for GTA 5 was going to be a playable entire Liberty City.
Whoa.
Like one of the characters was going to go back
wow.
to Liberty City.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
They scrapped it so they could have all the devs working on GTA Online because that generates a ton of money.
Sure does.
And that's what happened. And so like the new GTA that was announced, I'm like, that's cool. I'll play it.
Yep.
That sounds fun and exciting.
Yeah.
I like to do the single player story.
Me too.
It's a good time. I tried GTA Online. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2.
I know.
Amazing game.
Yeah.
Amazing game. A+, top of the list. Went in to do Red Dead Online, and I was like, this sucks. I hate it.
I feel like GTA Online is like pretty like well reviewed though, right?
Yeah.
yeah. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's a fine thing if that's what you're into.
Yes, exactly.
But the fact that they scrapped
I know.
genuine gameplay
I know.
because this was a cash cow.
I know.
And you never are not aware that it's a cash cow.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I know. It's a tough thing.
Yeah.
It's so funny that we live in this world now where we're
Funny,
so-
I wouldn't say it's funny.
So we're so hungry for content and the next thing that we know about things so far in advance of when
Yeah.
they come
Yeah.
out, and like all these different fucking franchises, they last from when we're 17 to when we're 58.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's really funny.
I think it's fucking wild that I can track GTA so well.
yeah.
Like I used to be like, I love GTA. It's one of my favorite franchises
Yeah.
because of the sandbox
Yeah.
and just playing.
Yeah.
It is crazy to me that in like that game's coming out next year.
Yeah.
Or no, not next year, the year after, right?
I think it's 2025. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a whole other year to go.
And it probably will be another year.
Yeah. It'll probably get pushed,
Yeah.
do all the bullshit. Like I saw the trailer for that and I was talking about it and I said to my son, Finn, I was like, I got GTA 5 before you were born.
Yeah.
Dude, I know.
In Be a Man, the documentary, there's a scene where I'm going and picking up Grand Theft Auto 5. You can't tell in it, but I know like the B-roll that's playing
Right,
over the
yeah.
narrative. That's me going to get it. Because I went and fought Vinny Pazienza on the day GTA came out.
Yeah.
So he punches me, rattles my skull, my brain inside of my skull.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking about is like, I got to go to Target and get GTA. I didn't pre-order it on Amazon because I didn't want to wait the whole day for it
Right,
to arrive.
right, yep.
Oh,
so
my
let me go
God.
take my concussed ass back home
I
and
think-
load this up.
It's crazy. I think about this all the time because, like, like Mario Kart 8 is still huge. I believe it came out in 2013. Maybe 2014.
Yeah.
And it's the current Mario Kart that they're still releasing DLC
Yeah.
for. I think about the fact that Iron Man came out in 2008. So it's like, I'm still in college when Iron Man came out, and the Marvel movies
Yeah.
are continuing, and next year I'm going to turn 40. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
bizarre. It's so bizarre. It's like,
Yeah.
I think this never existed before because there wasn't such a demand for content and news
Right,
and stuff
right,
like
yeah.
that. But it's so bizarre to be like, 6
Yeah.
years, man. We're going to get there. It's going to
Yeah.
be great. It's so funny.
It's crazy.
All right, so what's the next overall
Next
thing?
category is podcasts.
Yeah, this is kind of just like a
I love Funbearable,
Yeah.
and
I'm all right about it.
yeah, and
I listen to it when like there's a good guest. You know what I mean?
yeah. That Fast and Furious episode with Doug Key, whew, stinker. The Big Grande was one that Ray introduced me to, and that has been my go-to podcast this year.
Yeah,
where
I love that.
They're doing improvised scenes and thematic, like loosely thematic scenes, and just hearing the agreement and the building and how much they are enjoying it to me is like, oh, this warms my little improviser heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that does not always happen. So hearing that is has brought a lot of joy to me over the past year. Big Grande.
Yeah, I love that because especially with the like the ongoing like saga of these characters
Yep.
too, because they'll do side stuff where they're different people.
Yep.
But the long running thing with Big Grande is Teacher's Lounge.
Yeah.
With these 4 specific characters.
Yeah.
And to see them go through all this time and do different things with these characters
Yeah.
and like the lore that's been built up with them is very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it's
mean,
cool.
even I was listening to the Secret Santa episode because they did a little series at the mall, and just hearing them like pimp the other person into an undesirable character trait or whatever.
Yes.
Or discover it. I think in this one they discovered it was the child protective Santa.
Yeah.
And it was all the deadbeat dads were bringing their kids to the Santa,
It's so good.
and it came up organically, and they all like jumped on it and agreed to it, and then built on it. And each
Yeah.
dad got progressively worse, and blah blah. And I'm like, this to me, like that is textbook improv. But to tell someone, I taught improv this year, I coached it to be like, hey, I need you to listen to this podcast
Yeah.
so that you understand what I mean when I say I want you to build on a joke.
Yeah, and also the fine line because they love painting each other into a
Love
corner.
it.
Yeah.
But understanding I'm going to do that so this elevates,
Yeah.
not just to put you in the
Right.
corner.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to paint you in a corner. You're going to leap out of the corner in a unique fashion, and I'm going to embrace that instead of painting you back into a corner.
Yes. Yeah. And along the lines of the holidays at the mall, because that was a mini series that they dropped with
Yep.
different scenes in that mall. My favorite, I love the CPS Santa. I really love, I think it's the first episode of it, doing a white elephant. It's the security team
Yes.
at the
Yeah.
mall doing a white elephant. And the side joke that starts running is that there's the only security guard out in the mall right now while they do the white elephant is Clarence,
Yep.
and he's like 90 years old,
Yep.
and he's over by the H&M, and it's like, talk to him on the radio because they're looking at the monitors,
Yep.
and one of the guys is like, Clarence, they're stealing stuff at the H&M, and Drew Tarver, so funny.
Yep.
He's like, he terrified. He's so scared to death. He doesn't know where the sound is coming from.
Yep.
He's looking at a mannequin. He's trying to fight the mannequin.
Yeah.
And just going back
I
to
think
it all
he
the time.
handcuffed the mannequin
Yeah,
at
he's,
some point. Yeah.
he's taking the mannequin down, shaking. Right? It's so fun. But yeah, I agree. That's my favorite podcast of the year, as well as Big Grande. So that's why we talked about it a little longer. What about you, buddy?
Well, for me, I have some mainstays. I always love Halloweenies, which is like my favorite horror movie podcast. They do a great job of actually breaking it down from like a heady perspective. WTF.
A Freddy perspective is what you said.
That's what I meant.
And then,
liked it, bitch.
and then he put on his knife glove and just down a chalkboard.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be fun. Him doing reviews. How many knife blades?
knives? Yeah.
I got to give it 4 knives.
4-finger knives.
4-finger knives, bitch. I gave it 2 bitches and 4-finger knives.
They're bitches good.
What's the exchange rate? Yeah.
But But like, you know, my mainstays are basically like Halloweenies. How did this get made? I love, and I, you know, that's going to come up later because I saw them live this year. WTF. I like Stuff You Should Know. It's kind of a funny, very, very casual podcast. It's Always Sunny podcast is killer. They were number one. And when the writer's strike happened, they stopped the podcast in support of the writer's strike, and they just have never started up again.
Yeah.
Which is very strange. Are You Garbage has kind of become one of my background podcasts. That's very comfortable for me, which is great. Steve-O does a lot of fun stuff in his podcast. But the standout ones for me, Neil Brennan's Blocks podcast is really great because it's specifically, like, it has a gimmick, which is I want to know what's wrong with you and what makes you feel distant from other people. And I think that's a great place for a podcast to go.
Yeah.
Mick Foley's podcast is really, really fun in terms of telling all these stories from the wrestling that I grew up with. Fly on the Wall with David Spade and Dana Carvey. The live episode with Will Ferrell is one of the funniest podcasts I ever heard. It's so good. And that insight into SNL, because that's really where they come from almost all the time, is incredible. It's excellent. Conan's podcast, this year they did the Lost Hans and Franz movie, The Girly Man Dilemma, with Kevin Nealon, and dude, it was so funny. And then one that I really like that I don't hear anyone talk about really is called Land of the Giants. And what it is, it's a technology podcast about different aspects of current technology that's huge and the mechanics behind it. And this year they did a season about dating apps and about how all the dating apps came up, how they progressed, what they turned into, like how effective are they? Excellent series, not funny at all, but very great. And then finally, Freakonomics and No Stupid Questions are two podcasts that kind of are in the same like network. And they just did an episode, like this is the type of stuff they do. They just did an episode about why human beings need closure. And it related the idea of closure with relationships or, you know, important emotional things to the idea of remembering small facts. Like remembering, like if you need to know like a code to get into this room for the door, if you only needed to know it once, you'll keep it in your head for like a couple of days until you use it, and then your mind lets go of it, and it makes room for other stuff. And closure works the same way, where if there's something that's unresolved, it doesn't allow you to move past it until you find a resolution to it.
Right.
And the idea of having discussions with people like psychologists about that and hearing why that happens, I think is super interesting. And so that kind of stuff is up there for me. But I really think Fly on the Wall this year for me is the one that really stood out. And
That's the one you often would talk about.
Yeah, and then Dana Carvey's son passed away,
right?
Like recently, and they haven't done new stuff since then.
And you've been writing complaint emails. Why no new episodes? You're so fucking lazy. I'm invested in this. Go fuck yourself. Listen, I understand taking a week off to grieve.
Yeah.
But get back to it.
I want my yuckles and chuckles.
I think, you know, even though this is a free thing that you do for me, I deserve it all the time to the best degree, exactly the way I want to have it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what I deal with a lot in my life.
What are you, too busy chopping broccoli?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
But yeah, that's my podcast stuff.
I only have one other podcast thing to mention. You already mentioned Big Grande.
Yep.
This is very different than that. I mentioned this a while back, but I wanted to put it here because it belongs here. It's so unique. There's nothing else like it in terms of podcasting. No. There's plenty. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay? We're like a flavor of many different sodas.
But like the best flavor.
Yeah.
Praline.
One of the best.
Yeah.
What?
Praline.
Praline flavored soda.
Yeah, that's Funbearable.
I think it was an ice cream. I don't know why. Interesting.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
This is what the name of it is. And then I have to explain why it's great. The integral principles of the structural dynamics of flow.
Whoa.
Sounds super dry. Yeah. It is. It comes out very infrequently. It is supposed to be the audio book of this very dry book that was written about the dynamics of flow for pipelines and things like that. And the book was written by a character from a TV show, and the TV show is Patriot. It's on Amazon. It belongs in the pantheon of like great television shows. It's wonderful. It's beautiful and heartbreaking.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. When I think of the idea of beautiful sadness, Stephen Conrad, the writer of Patriot and writer of a bunch of other stuff, he wrote the movie The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage. That's kind of in that wheelhouse too.
Yeah.
Did Perpetual Grace, which was another show.
seen that, yeah.
It's phenomenal. Beautiful sadness.
Yeah.
So fucking good. Like unbelievably good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the madness, the mad genius of Stephen Conrad. He started writing the scripts for these podcast episodes. And the actor, I forgot, I'm drawing a blank on his name. I feel like a shitheel. The actor is Red Foreman from
I
That
love
70s show.
Yeah.
Kurtwood Smith.
Yes, Kurtwood Smith.
He's killer.
He is phenomenal, and he played the boss in Patriot, who works at this Dynamics of Flow kind of place,
yeah.
right? And it's-
Industrial piping.
yes,
Yeah.
and this is his like book about that, right? That's
Yeah.
what it claims to be.
Yeah.
And he's reading it as an audiobook, and then he breaks off from it starts with like, you're going to learn how to,
Yeah.
how much pressure you need on your hose clamps and your pipe flange,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And then breaks into stories about his life. And they're so beautiful. It's the writing of Stephen Conrad.
Wow.
And he has Kurtwood Smith narrate this podcast
Wow.
and do the whole thing. My wife listened to it. I listened to it. It will make you cry.
Yeah.
It will make you appreciate the people in your life. It'll be like
Yeah.
it's so emotionally touching. I've never had a podcast like specifically connect with that part of my brain and my heart in the way that this does.
Wow.
I think you
Really, the stories of Chuck jizzing don't do it for you?
it just doesn't compete, unfortunately.
Oh, you haven't heard the new one.
Yeah. I mean, Gibby's origin story comes close, but other than that. But no, it's beautiful. I mean, I would say you have to watch Patriot anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it is an absolute must watch.
Yeah, yeah.
It's impeccable. But I don't know if you need to see it to listen to the podcast. I would recommend it though.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful. I mean, stories. There's an oddball story of him breaking out of prison. This character and how he did it over days and days and days. And he's telling this story, and it's beautiful. He breaks out. He talks to his kids, and he ends up going back.
Yeah.
And like sneaks back into prison because he's like, I don't want to do that. There's making a big sale. Doing for a contract for what he's been doing, and his character is he's in recovery. He was a drug addict and ruined his life. And the story of him needing to get to an important meeting in another country, and doesn't have his shoes because of a bender the night before, is one of the most heartbreakingly beautiful human connection stories I've ever heard.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's in this podcast.
Yeah.
To me, that podcast is when I hesitate to say art
Yeah.
for some of the things that I partake in or do or whatever. This is the thing where I go, oh no, that is.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah.
absolutely art.
That's cool. That's great.
And you've listened to it?
I haven't listened to it. I watched the show. I love the show.
Yeah.
I think about it whenever I see Chuck wear a tracksuit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because there's
I
a
wear a suit.
tracksuit. You're always wearing tracksuits.
You love tracksuits.
I don't wear a
you-
tracksuit.
you're always-
as soon
you're
as you
always-
move down to Staten Island, you love tracksuits.
I don't wear a tracksuit.
We're always
Yeah, you
looking
do.
for tracksuits.
Tracksuit implies that I wear a matching top and bottom, right?
Yep.
I never have
Absolutely.
worn that once.
That's bullshit.
Every time
All
we
you
go
have
to
do-
every time we go to Savers, he's like, let's see if they have any new tracksuits.
Yeah.
I don't look for.
And he's
what
always
are you
sending
talking about?
pictures to Rupert and going like, "What do you think of this one?
Yeah.
How does this one look?
I
You
don't
know
wear,
what I mean?
Rupert wears tracksuits, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, no, I
he
know. That's why I made that
definitely-
joke.
I don't do it though.
We've
Brian
seen
Johnson's
photos.
joke about Rupert wearing tracksuits was, "Oh look, it's never runs DMC."
It's a great
It's
joke.
funny though.
It's a great joke.
It's
That
good.
it is good. It is good.
I don't wear tracksuits. I wear a track jacket, and that's nice. And then I wear track
And
pants.
then I wear track pants
But
with a track shirt.
but separately.
And track
I do the
undies.
separate. I have to do it with my jean jacket too.
My track
or else
socks.
people say I have a Canadian tuxedo, and it's really mean.
It's really mean. You do have a denim tracksuit, which is weird.
You know what? Before we, go
Best
on
of
to
both worlds.
before we go to the next category, actually, I want to tell Ray because I don't know if I really told him about this. Tell Ray what I got you for Christmas.
For Christmas, Chuck
What a
bought,
weird thing.
I know. I think. Well, this has to do with what I just said.
okay.
Chuck bought me some Adidas high tops.
Yep.
They're white with blue and orange. The colors of the
they're Bears
Chicago
color
Bears.
high top.
And as we've established for you, it means all day I dream about sausage because it's a hot dog based thing. Yeah.
And
All
then
day I dream about several hot dogs.
Adidas. There was a piece of paper and I unfold it and it's a ticket to a Less Than Jake show. Less Than Jake,
Right.
the punk ska band.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like we've seen them before. It's very nice of him. And I put it back in the thing. And Chuck's like, why don't you look more closely at that ticket? And I take it back out and I look. And the address for the venue is in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I'm like, oh, Chuck bought the wrong ticket. This is so embarrassing. We're around his family. And then I'm like, oh, this is for Toronto. And then Chuck says, all right, now look at the love coupons, which are a normal thing for one man to give to another. And it's like good for one
Grown
time.
man.
Grown man. Good for one time when I arrange the transport to Canada. Good for one approving of where we stay in Canada. Good for one dodging the question of where we're going to stay in Canada. Good for you get to pick one song during our 9-hour drive to Canada. And yeah, so we're gonna go to Canada in a couple months and see Less Than Jake and hang out in Toronto with our
great.
buddy Gris.
He
Yeah.
really swept you off your feet.
He did.
He's taking you for a whirlwind romance.
I'm like, are we gonna stop at Niagara Falls?
Yeah, we are.
He's gonna propose.
But I was like,
About time.
He's gonna propose that you get in a barrel.
About time.
but yeah, I thought it was fun to like force you into a Canadian road trip. I think it'd be fun. And I mean, I haven't gone to Canada really.
Okay, yeah.
Have you gone?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it fun?
Yeah.
You had some poutine?
No. I'm not a poutine person.
Well, what about?
Nope.
I was going to invite you to the Poutine Indulgence Festival.
Can't
this
make it
year.
busy that day.
You don't like poutine. That's right.
It's not that I don't like it. It's just like I'm not like it never looks to me like, oh, I can't wait to get a bite of that.
Yeah.
You know? I get it. I understand it. I don't hate it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
It is what it is. No, I've been to Montreal quite a few times.
Yeah.
Not really anywhere else other than that. I mean, there was one
Well,
overnight that I did in a small town just over the border when I was 18 with a friend, and we drove. It was like it was like 9 o'clock at night, and we looked at each other and went, "What if we drove to Canada to drink right now?"
Oh yeah.
And we drove to Canada. We just drove to Canada in the middle of the night. We got there. We're like, when's last call? We found a nice little town with like a downtown area that had a few bars.
yeah.
We had some drinks. We met some nice ladies that were older than us, and we lied and said we were older than we were.
Cool.
And we chatted and hung out. And
Was it fun?
We drank. It was a blast. And then we get back to the car, and we're like, we shouldn't drive. We know that
Yep.
because we've been drinking. But also, this was such an unexpected thing. I guess we just have to sober up in the car. And we like just
sat there?
crashed in the car for a while, like fell asleep for a little bit.
That's okay.
And then we drove back, and like the sun is rising
Yeah.
in the Green Mountains in New Hampshire. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. We're
Yep.
going along a riverside. It's fucking gorgeous. It was such a fun, like ridiculous thing to do at an 18 as an 18-year-old.
Right, as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I don't remember the town.
Nope.
I don't remember the place. None of it.
I think it's going to be really.
I barely remember the country.
I mean, I did have to get a quick divorce from that woman that I met there, but other than that,
I think if you lie about your age, that's grounds for divorce.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think but I think it'll be really, really fun. And
Your
Brad,
Honor, my mom's gonna get mad.
and Brad pointed out something that's pretty interesting. I didn't notice. He was like, "Oh, the
Canada
venue
is north."
He goes, "The venue is on Queen Street," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Nirvana, the band, the show, the Queen
Yeah.
Street Stangler." So it's like, I don't know if the house is right there.
Yeah.
But you know what I
should
mean?
go over there. I mean, go to the Rivoli.
I know
For sure, go
I
to the
know.
Rivoli.
I know. It's really
Special
fun.
shout out, speaking of the Rivoli, Bruce McCullough dropping on YouTube out of nowhere a little, I don't want to call it a special,
Yeah.
but he did a recording at the Rivoli
Oh,
Nice.
really?
of a show that he was like working on. It was like a work in progress show. And I was like, how did this just pop up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I watched it while I was on the road. I was at a hotel and I watched this whole thing, and it's delightful. It's
I
fun.
bet, I bet.
It's loose. It's clunky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so fun.
Those are my favorite shows to see.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And the story he tells at the end is phenomenal about being in quarantine times, in the period where people would like bang pots and pans at
Yep.
5 o'clock for
Yeah.
people leaving,
Yep.
the first responders, and eating an edible because he had to do like a Zoom thing and watch somebody's like one-man show that they, and he's like, so I took an edible. He took a like a concentrated brick that goes in like a hookah or something like that. It's insane. He ate this like disc
Yeah.
that's like 4,000 milligrams.
Yeah.
Thought he had a stroke. Genuinely, because he like couldn't move, could barely
Yeah.
talk. His wife thought he had a stroke. The paramedics had to come, take him out to the hospital.
They're like, no, he's just high.
And they went through all the stuff and they're like, we don't think you had a stroke. Did you eat anything? Did you have anything? And he could barely talk. Like he basically overdosed on weed. Right?
Yeah.
And then everybody realized it was this disc that's for a hookah.
Yeah.
Like he
Why would he eat that?
he thought it was an edible.
I wonder how it tasted.
Probably terrible.
I was gonna say.
But in his words,
Yeah.
because it's Bruce McCullough, I don't love edibles, whatever. But and this is what he said. But an edible is sure better than half a bottle of gin.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, it's great. So yeah, you got to check out the Rivoli when you go.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna wear my Canadian tuxedo, and no one's gonna make fun of me. That's what's cool.
Well,
about
it's
it.
just called a tuxedo there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about.
Oh, you guys getting married?
Yes. Let's talk about restaurants.
Yeah,
Chuck, you probably went to some good restaurants.
Yeah,
this year.
I usually just kind of highlight some of the fun stuff I went to all year because that's kind of one of my interests and hobbies. Much like Ray and Brad play a lot more video games than I do. Brad reads a lot more books than I do. I go to a lot more
Very
restaurants.
excited to talk about books.
We're doing books in this one, right? Next week.
But bunch of great places in Rhode Island. Check out Avenue N if you haven't been there. It's funny because it's been around for so long that I think that a lot of people don't talk about it. But
That's
it's
the one with the puppets.
Yeah, that's right.
they're filthy.
It's incredible. I went to a couple great places with Brad, Pomp and Banana, and the what's it called? The Il Freno Espresso Bar on our way back from New Jersey one time, and Pomp and Banana was incredible.
Yeah.
It was really good. I don't know what town it was in, but it was awesome. Recently went to Angelina's in Staten Island, and I went with someone who
How's she doing?
is gluten-free, and she said it was the best gluten-free pizza and food she ever had in her life. There's a ton of great places. Moderna Pizza in Hartford we went to, which is one of the best pizza places in the country, apparently, when we recorded our episode, and it was fucking awesome. That was great.
And they do the vaccine?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it was Modern a Pizza, not Moderna
I thought
Pizza.
it was Moderna Pizza.
That was, Pfizer. But we also went to food...
Pfizer pie.
That's across the street.
Yeah.
We also went to Food Truck Paradise, which a lot of people have probably seen this. If you go to New York from anywhere that's north of Connecticut, so Boston, Maine, wherever, you go along 95, and I'm sure you've seen this, along the water, there's this huge thing of food trucks.
Yeah.
It's all Latin-based food trucks. And we made a point to go there. It's called Food Truck Paradise.
I didn't know you spoke Latin.
Yes.
And
Wow.
yeah.
You're like
Ixnay.
sic semper slice of pizza.
But the food trucks are incredible. I stop there often now on my way back and forth between New York and Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Really incredible. Pizza Marvin in Providence. I mean, that's getting a ton of attention, and rightfully so. It's like, I don't know if you've tried it.
Not yet.
I think you would flip. I think you'd really, really enjoy it.
I'd be impressed if I did that. If I did a flip. Oh my God.
Backflip.
Went to a
Backflip,
great
yeah.
tiki bar in
I
Staten
can only
Island.
do fronts.
There was a great tiki bar in Staten Island called Paradise Island that was awesome. I'm just kind of looking real quick. The new Chomp in Warren is like ridiculous. I love the new spot. This opened, I don't know when they promote, what's it called? They sponsored the podcast for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
When we're doing our shows. And they're incredible if you haven't checked them out. Crave It in Astoria and Chip City Cookies in Astoria. There's a bunch of places. Lobster Landing in Connecticut was pretty great. E-Brew Coffee in Oaks, PA. Just a bunch of places. River and Rail in New Milford, Connecticut was incredible. a lot of fun coffee places, a lot of fun restaurants around, the Northeast. And
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun checking them out. Ooh, and Honeybird in Rhode Island is pretty crazy. A lot of
Sticky.
it's very sticky, very,
Hard to
very
fly.
sticky.
Hard to
Yeah.
fly.
But yeah.
And it's sad too because when you feed it, all the seed gets stuck to the bird.
Oh, and Zaro's Bakery in New York made this incredible. It's the best cinnamon babka I ever had in my life, and it was awesome. But a lot of great places this
Yeah,
year.
nice.
And there's
I
a
love
bunch
it.
more, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go down
Do you
the
have
whole
any?
list.
Chipotle. It's weird because
What's that?
I think about the empanada stop.
Yeah.
We were on the way back and it was, trafficy and all that. And I'm, of course, grumpy because I'm me. And so we stop it was Park Ridge, New Jersey. And we're like, all right, well, an empanada is small. Let's go in there. And they were so nice to us. They had cool art on the wall. They had all these different types of empanadas. And so we're like, all right, we'll each get one and then we'll split one. And we Lady and the Tramped it. And as grown men do. And went, sat in the park across the way and ate these empanadas. And I'm like, these are amazing.
They were.
I heard it was
good.
so beautiful. You almost proposed then.
Right.
Well, I put a
But then you were like, no, Niagara Falls.
I put a love coupon in the empanada.
Oh, it's like a fortune.
Nope, I just ate it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also want to say in Midtown on Valentine's Day, I went with Jen, who I was dating at the time, to the Dutch, and the Dutch was fucking awesome. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of fun restaurants.
Also, the Dutch,
Oh.
they were asked to back the Revolutionary War.
Oh,
Back the new
what
Americans.
What did they tell John Adams?
They said no. They literally told John Adams no.
One more thing
So don't forget that, the Dutch.
One more thing, if you're local to Rhode Island, in Warren on Main Street, Tracy's Cream and Sugar just opened, and they're incredible. Baked goods are
And
incredible.
that's Tracy Morgan, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And their coffee
Eat
is,
my dairy.
their coffee is from Borealis, which is awesome to have in walking distance of my house. That's it.
Nice.
Oh, no, Boreanaz. Angel from Buffy.
I never
Wow.
watched
Yeah.
Buffy or Angel.
I'm just trying to fucking pull funnies in it.
Let's talk about movies.
Well, I guess I don't have a restaurant.
You have
Never mind.
restaurants.
No, go ahead.
Jesus
You came in and
Christ.
you said restaurants wasn't on the list, so I didn't think
it wasn't,
I didn't
yeah.
think you had any restaurants. But if
Tell
you
me
have
what you got,
restaurants,
buddy.
I don't have specific restaurants because it's kind of, I don't know. It's just saying like this place is a restaurant. But I
think
was,
it's nice to say like
no,
this.
no,
place
I
is-
understand. Don't take it as an attack.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
We have personal differences in what we see as things to say in microphones. It's fine.
I like to call out people that are doing great things, especially.
Yeah, and I'm sure people wrote them all down, and they're all going to go to every single one of them.
just like the podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's fucking fine. Don't worry about it. Why are we doing this? Cut all of this bullshit. No, I wanted to say I was thinking about restaurants and
Yeah.
like meals and what those are, and I have to say this part because this year it was these were like big moments for me. Eating fish and chips on the like the edge of the river in Juneau, Alaska.
yeah, Alaska Ray.
While it was lightly raining / snowing, and seaplanes were taking off like 30 feet away from me.
Right.
Wow. You think the
Like-
fish? What fish do you think it was? I wonder.
I had salmon.
Ooh, fish and chips. Really, with salmon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you're in salmon country, baby.
That's great. I've never
Yeah,
heard
it
of
was
fried
delicious.
salmon. That's
It's-
awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
That was in the second Hunter S. Thompson book. We're in salmon country.
Keep your wits about you.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was like a highlight meal.
Yeah.
That fucking amazing why did I just drop the name of this food in my brain? Because you said babka and that's all I can think of.
Pizza.
No, the phyllo dough, honey, and nuts.
Oh yeah.
Baklava.
Baklava,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
That amazing baklava that I had in Greece.
Yeah.
That's a highlight meal memory
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Like it will always be the best piece of baklava I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm happy for that
Yeah.
to be what I compare every piece of baklava to.
Sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the beef Wellington that I had in Alaska was fucking amazing. It inspired my wife to make beef Wellington for Christmas Eve this year. No,
Nice.
Christmas Day.
Nice.
Amazing.
Good.
Wow.
Duxelle. I put Duxelle on everything. Do you know what
Wow.
Duxelle is?
Nope.
It's so a beef Wellington is a beautiful piece of meat.
Yeah, I love it.
And then it's wrapped in duxelle and then phyllo dough around that.
Okay.
The duxelle is like a reduction of mushrooms and shallots. It's so fucking good.
Love it.
Anyway,
Sounds scary.
no, it's delicious. And then the last like big highlight thing is in Italy. I'll throw in Turkish coffee in Turkey. Like that was a highlight for me of having that. Even though it made me absolutely destroyed the next day, like blowout city. You know what I mean? Not literally. And then no, the big peak one for me for coffee was that frozen espresso that I had.
Oh, yeah.
in Naples, like mind blowing.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that idea of like, restaurants and what about them is like this thing, and less the location and more like these were like meal moments in my year that were like, wow, you know what I mean? That really stood out. But yeah, it's a special fun thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so movies are our last category.
Movies are the last category.
We're
of
doing
this.
movies in this one.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Favorite comedy? I will start out in January, even though it came out last year. I watched Weird, the Al Yankovic story, and I loved it. There's enough fourth wall breaking stuff. Daniel Radcliffe is great, and
It's a really fun movie.
yeah, it's just a fun movie. So it's what you want a comedy to be.
I really enjoyed it just because like that style of comedy is not popular whatsoever anymore.
Yeah.
That very over the top
I
airplane
miss it.
Naked Gun. I
Right.
miss it a ton too. My favorite comedy, this kind of pushes the boundaries of comedy, but this is kind of what I think of as the closest thing to it, was Blackberry.
Yeah.
Matt Johnson directed it, from Nirvana, the band, the show. Jay Baruchel, Glenn Howerton killed it. But there's a ton of moments for comedy in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really loved the movie. I loved the style. I loved the way they did it. And I thought it was very special.
Yeah, it's not my favorite comedy. I didn't do a favorite comedy, but it's funny. Blackberry's on my list for favorite indie.
Yeah.
because it's it is like such an indie movie
For sure.
Yeah, so it's my favorite indie.
All right. Favorite documentary?
Oh, and Jones,
Indy Jones.
I get it. Yeah.
other favorite indie.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
that's good.
did you watch the fifth one? Because if so,
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't say movies. It was just Jones.
Okay.
or sorry, indie.
yeah,
Yes.
got it.
I get it.
I did not watch a documentary film this year.
Yes, you did.
All right, what did I watch?
A Disturbance in the Force.
I did watch it. So I guess my favorite documentary was the one that was on in the background as we rolled Tuesdays with Stories posters, and I was going like downstairs to Chuck's printer to get more labels. So the one that was playing while we did many other things.
Yeah.
Was my favorite documentary of the year. By the way, it's a bizarre story behind the Star Wars.
Oh, it's great. So the Disturbance in the Force came out this year, and it's a documentary about the Star Wars Holiday Special. And there's a lot more to the story than you kind of think you know. You think like, whatever, they made a bad choice and it's dumb, and George Lucas didn't keep control of it, and people took it. They didn't really know what to do with it and took it in a very strange direction. But there's way more to it than that. And it's a great documentary to watch. But for my favorite documentary, it's funny. I feel like documentary movies have become series. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like whenever they're going to make a documentary now, it's instead of a documentary movie, it's a 3-episode, hour long. You know what I mean? It's very strange. I don't really have a favorite documentary movie this year. The only one I really watched that I would consider a movie was Monsters Inside, the one about that crazy guy that runs those bizarre haunted houses.
Yes.
And I thought it was pretty good. It's hard for me to say it's my favorite. I really like Disturbance in the Force. I thought that was good. That one's mostly talking heads, so it's not like incredible, and it's not really pushing the boundaries or anything. But I did love the Murdaugh murders, which was about that family of these like rich family that was linked to like several murders in this town. And the story is bananas. It's on Netflix. I mean, it was huge at the time. People were going crazy about it. So I think that technically that's my favorite.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really have a favorite, I'd say, honestly.
That's fair.
But it's close. It's up there.
For me, it's not even a like released film.
right.
It lives on a streaming app called Nebula.
All right.
It is worth the $5 subscription for the month just to watch the one thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Lindsay Ellis is a YouTube video essayist who left YouTube. I like her work. It's well thought out and well researched. And this was very recent. It just came out like a couple of months ago or something like that, or this month. And it was a feature-length documentary about the Beatles breakup and Yoko Ono being blamed for so much of it, and how that breaks down and why.
Yeah.
And how Yoko Ono was not the reason for the Beatles breaking up.
Wow, yeah.
And the vitriol that was there.
That's cool.
And it's really great. So it goes through the details of the Beatles and how they broke up and why and all that stuff. It focuses on Yoko Ono's kind of stuff that happened.
Yeah.
The horrible shit that happened to her after John was killed.
Yep.
And has a really fun examination of what she coins as like infant baby men geniuses. This idea of artistic genius men
Who have to be coddled.
are infantilized when a woman manipulates them, and they're so stupid to fall for the thing, right?
Yeah.
Great quote from John Lennon, like, when you say Yoko Ono did these things, it's an insult to her. You're also insulting me.
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm an idiot that I would fall for something like that?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
which is really interesting. And she talks about Kurt Cobain and how people viewed Courtney Love.
That's cool.
And she goes through this whole thing, and it was really, really well done. I mean, I love the Beatles.
Yeah.
So I was just pumped to see that
Right.
pop up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really, really
That's
fantastic.
cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's good.
Nice. Favorite drama? I'm so mainstream. I went with Oppenheimer. Yeah, I'm mid and I'm mainstream. No, I watched Oppenheimer, and it appeals to my little inner history buff, and the idea of one of the things that enrages me if I think too long about it.
The Japanese.
McCarthyism.
Oh, McCarthyism?
McCarthyism.
Yeah, for sure.
And because it's so transparently like a lie that everyone, that the wrong people in power glommed onto to advance their own agenda.
Yeah.
And
we have it now.
we definitely have it now.
Yep. Groomer.
Yeah. And it has not changed. It has not, going back to Salem, Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible and everything. So seeing Oppenheimer go through this, McCarthyist thing, it's like that was such a good framing for the development of the atomic bomb. It was it was just a really interesting story. Yes, it was 3 hours long. I'm glad I watched it at home so I could stop halfway through and not miss whatever the best part of the movie was.
Sex scene. That's disgusting. Bro.
Pause,
die.
Rewind, fast forward,
People
slow mo. No, I feel like if
So unrelated to the sex.
if I go to see a movie in a theater and I'm like, all right, I'm going to scooch out and take a bathroom break here, I will miss
He always
the
misses something
craziest
so
cameo
important.
or whatever. So
Batman showed up.
He's like, I'll be right back. And he leaves. And welcome to Jurassic Park.
wait, how did they get to a place where there are dinosaurs?
Where are they? What is happening?
Yeah.
He did it during Endgame, and it was when Red Skull came back.
Oh,
as
yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
And then he's like, what happened? I'm like, Red Skull came back. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
He comes back in and he's like, I thought all those people like vanished when the snap happened. He's like, no. All these portals opened up and everybody came back.
He comes back in, and Thanos is being defeated.
Yeah,
That's
he's
so
like,
funny.
why did that happen?
I really had to pee though. So
No, that's fair.
so Oppenheimer was my favorite drama. What do you got?
Can I be honest though? I liked Oppenheimer a lot, but I don't know if I missed it. But there, like the explanation, I understand the bomb and everything happening, and everybody's there, and I appreciate it. But I don't know who was supposed to be John Jacob Jingle.
So dumb.
He got cut. He got cut. Cutting room floor. Nolan's like, look, we're at 3 hours already.
Yes.
We got to cut out this guy.
Because I
Because
liked
he was just kept saying his name.
I know. Because I liked the scene where like the background is shaking and Cillian Murphy is like he's gaunt, he's sweating, and he looks in the camera and he goes, "That's my name too."
Yeah.
And it was really something. No, I thought the movie was
Powerful.
great. I really liked it. Brian Safdie showing up. I was mentioning that earlier. That's
Yeah.
wild to me. And I personally think I didn't write down like best actor or anything, but I think Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer,
Incredible.
Oscar.
Me too.
He's at least
Possible win.
That's short for nominated. Nom,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Back in Nom.
Back in Nam. Yeah.
I was thinking nom 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 that you wanted to
Ooh,
eat.
That's what you would say.
RDJ.
That's what you would say if you were drafted. I think
Yeah.
if you were there, you'd be like,
Nom nom nom.
Viet, eat more like it. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm so sorry, but yeah, a fantastic performance.
Yeah. I liked Oppenheimer. It's just not the type of movie that really gets to me. You know, it doesn't touch me that much. But I knew that with how dense it was and how much information there was and all that stuff, I knew you'd love it. My favorite drama. Not a lot of people have seen this, and it's hard to watch. Not a lot of people have the service that it's on. But I think it was like one of my favorite movies of the year was Tetris. It was so good. It was so intimate and small, and you can tell they shot in a very small amount of locations, and they took this real story and adapted it to this thing. But it's so good. It's so much fun. You get so invested in this story of how this happened, and it's so bizarre that this very small, simple seminary, what's it called? When something is like seminal video game is like, it's crazy because I never thought about Tetris being like something that had to do with culture,
Right.
Or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And it's funny because I guess I don't know that much about game development at that time or Russia at that time.
Right.
So this really opens up your viewpoint of that. You know what I mean? It really
I
shows
can probably
you.
tell you the Russia stuff. Maybe you can tell them the game development side.
Yeah. So there are 4 blocks.
It's crazy. But yeah, Tetris is so good, and it's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have Apple TV. And here's what sucks: a lot of people download movies from torrents.
Yeah.
But sometimes subtitle stuff
Right,
is
right,
really
yeah.
annoying, and this
Sure.
whole movie has subtitles all over it.
Yeah.
So it's tough to
You
watch.
want to look for something that says hard-coded subtitles, or use a media player
Yeah.
that you can also include SRT files.
Yeah.
I've heard. I don't know.
But the SRT file thing for me, it always has subtitles the entire time.
if you look around, you can find ones that only
Specific.
cover. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's great. I think you would really like it a lot. But it's Apple TV, so it's kind of a weird streaming service. But there's a lot of free trials and stuff. It's worth it. It's worth it to sign up for it.
I don't have a favorite drama,
Okay.
but I think this would apply. It's my favorite historical film, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, you love that.
It was fantastic, and it felt like it oddly felt like taking like Scorsese doing The Irishman. It's a great movie.
Yep.
It's long, and I think the age problem in the performers is too much.
Right.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it's
what people
just
say.
too much.
Yeah.
And it's not like a new thing for Scorsese.
Right.
Doing like a Jimmy Hoffa story is kind of okay. It's
Yeah.
within that realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Casino,
Yes.
like Goodfellas, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Him doing Killers of the Flower Moon was like a breath of fresh air, but applied the same techniques, the Scorsese like filmmaking techniques. So it's shot like one of those movies. It
Yeah.
has a certain energy to it, and like throwing to montages and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It was really, really fantastic.
Yeah, I want to watch it really bad.
Yeah, that's a movie that's three hours, 3+ maybe.
Yeah.
But I was absolutely okay with that.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really fantastic. That's another Apple-oriented thing.
Yeah.
And I hate that people look at the box office for that movie and they're like, it cost $200 million. It only made 148 in the U.S. and 80 in this place, and 150 worldwide. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. It's like, well, it made its money back, and
Yeah.
it did make a profit, but also, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
it's a 3.5 hour Martin Scorsese historical drama.
Yeah.
I
The
know,
point
I
is
know.
not.
Yeah, let's not fucking look at this like it's a Marvel thing. I like that box office thing has become like sports.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like let's look at the stats.
I know,
And
I
hate
agree.
it. But
I
yeah,
agree.
great movie.
Awesome.
I did.
I did favorite thriller.
Favorite thriller. I said
Michael Jackson.
The Menu.
The Menu
oh,
for me
yeah,
too.
yeah.
I thought the Menu. I have the same one, so that's why I'm just saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, we watched it with your parents in January.
Yeah.
And I legitimately didn't know what was going to happen. And seeing it play out the way it did was just a good watch.
Yeah, and as someone who I love food and I love culinary stuff, and I've been writing about food for years. The idea of
That
satirizing
slash fiction that you do is fucking weird.
Oh yeah.
the idea of satirizing that culture is so interesting. Where
And
I
it's
was like
begging for it.
I was surprised that like someone funded that though, because it's like I don't know who it's for exactly, but I loved it personally.
Well, I think it's not just cutting the food. I mean, obviously, the food industry is the thing that it
Right.
takes fully in its sights. But it's also going after a level of, like the 1% kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Elitists.
When that came out, there was a lot of discussion about how Triangle of Sadness was attempting to satirize the wealthy in a little too direct of a way. I thought the movie was very good. They came out about the same time.
Right.
I thought the movie was really good. I thought there was some really fun stuff there, but ultimately it was a little too on the nose and pulled its punches a little bit, right?
Right.
Somebody just said that about a different thing, so that's fresh in my mind.
Right.
But the Menu, I was like, oh, this has the full bite
For sure.
that
Yeah.
Triangle of Sadness kind of got a little mired in. It's very clear on what it's saying. You know what I mean? And I really appreciate it. And obviously, Ray Fiennes,
Oh, my
please,
God.
man, go.
It was fucking killer.
That performance and his performance in Bruges
Yeah.
are top notch. I love Ray Fiennes, and I'm so happy that he was able to do what he did in that movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
Can I give you? I forgot to say this about Oppenheimer. You said the thing about Downey.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that performance at all.
Yeah.
Like just from the trailers and going into the movie.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect that he would be kind of completely flipping his normal persona on its head.
Sure, yeah.
And I was equally like shocked and delighted by what he was in that movie.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, and we're not going to spoil it, me and you talked when you were halfway through the movie and you're like, Downey's great. And I'm like, yeah. And I didn't want to say like he gets better. By the end, it's like ridiculously great. You know what I mean? And so it's exciting to
for sure.
It was exciting for me to know that you're like, this is going really good. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
he's going to get to this part and it's going to be fucking awesome.
Totally.
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite thriller. My category is favorite film that is great,
Oh, okay.
but not his best.
Okay.
We used to have a category called No Cigar.
Yeah, close but no cigar.
Asteroid City.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Wes
Yeah,
Wes
yeah,
Anderson.
people said that, yeah.
It's a great movie. Unfortunately, I think the things that are in it, the things to explore, he's already done in different films.
Okay.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So that's really difficult. And it's unfortunate that that's how it goes. If those other films didn't exist, this would be like, wow,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
like, that's pretty close to what you covered here.
Yeah.
This part's pretty close to this,
Yeah,
right.
and it's really difficult. And I think if people that like Wes Anderson, it's similar to like the Fallout discussion, Bethesda
Right.
stuff. There's people that like Fallout 4, and then there's people that are like, that's shit. New Vegas is the thing, all that stuff. And I think Wes Anderson people fall in certain categories. So I guess just let me ask you, what's your favorite Wes Anderson movie? If you have one, maybe you don't even like him.
I've never gotten into Wes Anderson.
Really?
Crazy. I know. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I
Yeah.
never really got into him.
I guess it defaults to the Royal Tenenbaums.
I was gonna
because
say,
he did Bottle Rocket as well, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I never watched any of them as an adult.
I had friends who were like, Bottle Rocket is amazing. It's genius. You've got to see it. And this was, these were people in the Chicago comedy scene in the
Yeah.
early 2000s. And I'm like, well, I desperately need their approval.
Right.
And so I watched Bottle Rocket and felt stupid because I'm like, oh, I don't get this. I don't think this is the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's very of its time too.
Yeah.
I
And,
think what it's breaking new ground on, it's already been
Yeah.
established, built, everything.
I will say I rewatched it
Yeah.
in the probably late like 2009 2010 and was like, oh, I still don't get it. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm just not a Wes Anderson guy. But did he do Rushmore?
He did Rushmore.
All right,
I love Rushmore.
I-
Rushmore was
yeah,
one of those important movies I saw as in high school that
Yeah.
like kind of laid some groundwork.
I
for
think
me.
I liked Rushmore
Yeah.
more than the other one. So I guess Rushmore is my favorite Wes Anderson film.
It's like a thing. I want to get into Wes Anderson, but it feels like there's just a lot.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's weird. It's almost like it feels like
Ooh, Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's the answer.
you can't jump into one
You can.
now without being like, well, this is part of a thing. Like,
No, you
I
can't.
feel like Tarantino's like that too.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But they are very like standalone.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say Darjeeling Limited is wonderful. It's probably the least like Wes Anderson-y in terms of what people often cite as a Wes Anderson feeling or vibe or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
the look.
Yeah.
It's less twee than some of his other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My personal favorite is Grand Budapest Hotel. It's very Wes Anderson
Yeah.
in the best way. I think that's his best movie he's ever done. Ralph Fiennes is in that with a fucking stellar performance. So I would say, as two guys that don't really have a lot of Wes Anderson background, watch Grand Budapest Hotel. You
right.
don't need to see other things. And I think you will be firmly impressed with what's there.
Nice.
For sure.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
Favorite horror film? Now, I rewatched all the Saw films this year, and I watched Cobweb. So the winner, by a landslide, is Cobweb.
I thought Cobweb was my favorite horror film. I think in the past few years, I've really gone more towards smaller movies that spend a little bit more time in either situations or with characters as opposed to stuff that's bigger and moves faster. And so I really appreciated what Cobweb did with basically a short story.
Yeah.
But I also thought Saw X was shockingly good.
Yeah.
And so that was my runner up. I was sure that Saw X was going to be bad because the last time a good Saw movie came out was a long time ago, and Saw X was probably number 2 in terms of quality in the series. So Cobweb at the top though.
Yeah. I mean, I really liked Cobweb as well. I didn't have like a favorite horror.
Yeah.
I really did like it. My other alternative category was favorite dropped on streaming but should have been a bigger release.
Ooh, okay.
The Killer on Netflix.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah, it's a David Fincher.
I know,
film,
I know.
and
I
it's
wanna watch it.
So David Fincher.
But what's weird,
you know?
I think when it came out, a lot of people were panning it. And so I was like, is this
Really?
bad? Yeah, I saw a
Oh
lot
yeah. See, here's the problem too. Is like when you do have someone
that big.
like a David Fincher
Yeah.
making a David Fincher movie. I think it has nice parallels to the mindset he had making Fight Club.
Okay.
yeah.
Not topic wise, not subject matter,
Right.
not message or anything like that. But it has, I think, some of the same like filmmaking
like
qualities.
cinematography.
Yeah, because it's David Fincher.
Yeah, of
you
course.
know, and it has a narrator and things like that. I think a lot of times when something gets dropped on like a Netflix, an audience that would never go to see that movie watches it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's no barrier to entry. You just press a button and
Yeah.
you go, this is fucking stupid. Nothing's happening. He's just talking about how he's got to shoot that person for like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, well, you're
Yeah.
a fucking idiot. Don't watch the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me be a snob and say that
Let
right.
me-
now.
I love Seven, Fight Club, Social Network, and Gone Girl. You know? So it's like I'm sure
David
I'll like
Fincher.
It. Yeah, he's
you know,
awesome,
and it's
yeah.
wild that it is a David Fincher movie.
Yeah.
that was dropped on Netflix with very little fanfare.
And Fassbender too is killer.
Yes,
he's
of
incredible.
course. Yeah,
I'd like to make a suggestion, not only to the podcast, but also to Hollywood, who is definitely watching. Take the script from a movie like The Grand Budapest Hotel. Take the script from a movie like Fight Club. Have
Okay.
Wes Anderson direct Fight Club.
sure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Have David
definitely.
Fincher, just to see what happens.
yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
what's we've talked about this in the podcast before, where it's like big artistic swings are the way to go, and also are the least safe thing. So
Right.
that's the thing they
right.
do the least,
Right. Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. I want to see it.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What's the next category?
Next category, favorite animated / family.
My favorite animated family is The Simpsons.
Oh, well, I'm a Flintstones guy myself.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
I'm a Flintstones kid.
I said
You're
across
like, ooh, Pebbles.
Have you seen Grown Up Pebbles?
What?
That was a thing. The Flintstones had a whole Grown Up Pebbles. right?
Yes.
And
No.
Bam Bam. I think Bam Bam's like a hunk, isn't he?
Yeah.
With a name like Bam Bam. Come on.
Yeah.
I said Across the Spider-Verse was my favorite animated film.
It was, of
the year.
course, my favorite as well.
Barely edging out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Turtles was a close runner-up, but the art, I thought the art style of Turtles Mutant Mayhem was incredible. Which it's mostly sketch though, and it kind of stays in that world, which I think is great. But Spider-Man incorporates so many different art styles in such a successful way.
Oh, yeah.
And uses it as a metaphor. The way they pulled in the actual comic book history, the old Spider-Man movies, all that stuff. I really was blown away by how good Across the Spider-Verse was.
Yeah. I mean, we
favorite
already went through Spider-Verse and talked about
Yeah.
it in a previous episode. Yeah, I think it's the best there. I would like to give a special bit of attention to a movie that is an unexpected, like, oh, that was good.
Yeah.
The sequel Puss in Boots movie that
Everyone
came
says
out.
it's awesome. Everyone
Yeah.
says it's all I've heard is that it's incredible.
Everybody, I was hearing the same thing, and Finn, I was like, "Do you want to watch this?" And he had like no interest. I'm like, "No. People are saying it's great.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
check it out." And both of us were like, "This is good," and it's bananas that Shrek like outlived itself for a long time.
Sure did.
And then they did a sequel spin-off with Puss in Boots.
Yep.
I didn't see that. It was
And was not good either.
It wasn't good?
No, it's in the same vein as like Shrek 3. You
I
know
like
what I mean?
I like the Shrek movies. I like Shrek 4 a lot.
That's fine, but it's like it gets to a point, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
But then this sequel to a spin-off to a franchise is so good. It's
really
genuinely good.
Yeah, that's all I've heard. I've heard that so
I have
much.
to give it that special shout out. But so my other cat, because I didn't include this because I figured it's going to be Across the Spider-Verse, and that's fine. My favorite, my biggest personal upset in film this year.
Okay.
Oh boy.
It goes to Magic Mike's Last Dance. Because all of my scenes were cut.
You know,
I had the writer-director
Yeah.
of the Magic Mike franchise
Yep.
on my old podcast, Ray Harrington Must Content.
Right.
Genuinely. That's not even
Yeah.
a joke.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is weird.
Cut all my fucking scenes.
Yeah.
Cut all of my scenes. Because my pitch to him was, hey, I want you to go on YouTube. I sent him a link.
Yep.
Follow this link. And it was just the sketch of Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze as
great
the
sketch.
Chippendales.
Yep.
Even though Farley felt humiliated by it, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah.
I thought it was up for debate. I thought some people came out against it, then some people came back and they were like, "No, that's not true."
I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's apocryphal at this point.
I wasn't there.
I was. I had to do the oil on his back. But no, they cut all my scenes. It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up.
You know
I
what?
overcame my own qualms. The only person that has seen me without a shirt are my son and my wife.
Yeah.
And if my wife ever divorces me, I'll have her killed, so she won't ever be able to tell anybody what it looks like under here. And I fucking got up there.
I've
and
seen
I did
Chuck's
it.
caricatures, so I have an idea.
It's just it really kills me.
You know
All
what?
my scenes
We'll
are
have
cut.
the writer director of Magic Mike XXL on the podcast, and then we'll cut out all his scenes.
Yeah, I take that.
Last Dance was the film,
All right,
not
but
XXL. That was
didn't-
another one.
I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not.
I like the idea of being so heated about Magic Mike. I was in a bit. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, it's good. Favorite action movie? I watched it this year. We talked about the show Patriot earlier,
Yes.
and we did not mention, but we've previously mentioned my love of long takes. So it is no surprise that my favorite action movie that I watched this year was the film 1917, which is one take with some clever editing tricks.
Was that this year?
That I watched it this year.
Okay.
You can do stuff you watched this year.
It came out several years
well,
ago.
in that case, my favorite movie was Gone with the Wind.
You watched that this
Wow.
year?
First time. And did you know that's based on like true events?
Which true events?
The Civil War.
Huh? Never heard of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm still watching John Adams, so it's
Yeah.
just Revolutionary War for me.
Oh, you should watch.
Do it.
Let's say Ulysses S. Grant.
That's where I was going.
yeah.
Yeah.
1917 World War I film. I think
Yep.
it won the Academy Award, or if not,
Yeah, I
nom.
think so. Yeah.
And it's just a riveting watch.
Yeah.
There you go.
And a nice reminder that I am so fortunate to have never been in a war because boy, oh boy, I couldn't handle it.
You still have to go through a screening process
Yeah.
to become a soldier.
Yeah.
Even when they need all the soldiers they
Yeah.
can get.
4F right here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I was
This
gonna
guy's
say.
getting bounced out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm running back to college. Are you kidding me?
So we usually split the categories into action and epic action, and the reason that we do that, well, the reason
Is
we
to be pedantic.
no, it's because the idea of being like, here's something that's like Die Hard
Yeah.
versus something like fucking Endgame. I don't think that they're the same type of movie. I really don't.
Sure, yeah.
So I think that they should be in separate categories. I think it's weird to compare them. But the thing is, my favorite action is like it started out as that Die Hard thing, and now it's crossing over into the the Galaxy territory. It's Fast X, which is great action movie, but it is at the point where they're costing $200 million to make.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And the characters might as well be superheroes with what
Yeah.
they're surviving.
right.
so
Yeah,
so
for sure.
you know, so that's my favorite action movie of the year. But I do think it's pretty much getting to the point of
Yeah, it's tough. It's like Blockbuster.
Yeah.
'Cause it's almost like Blockbuster is a film category based on what the feeling of this thing is,
Yeah.
less than it is like an actual like box office
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's weird because I think about like Die Hard, Raiders of the Lost Ark, like
Yeah.
you know all that stuff. It's like it's so different
Yeah.
than the monstrous fucking The Flash or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
not
yeah.
the same.
Like The Flash, I would be like most superhero movies,
Yeah,
I think fit, and that's why the Fast and Furious franchise fits into that category where I'd be like blockbuster, where it's like
Yeah.
a genre.
Yeah.
yeah. I think
You know,
I think for
the
me,
Transformers movies,
Yes.
are not action movies.
I think
they're
blockbusters.
blockbusters.
I think for me, the difference between the action and the epic action is the epic action is like, this could never conceivably happen. It's completely fiction.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It couldn't even, but Fast and Furious has basically gotten there.
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
That makes sense. I don't have a favorite action. I have a movie I'm sure I will have high on my list, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
And that is Yorgos Lanthimos' film Poor Things.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to see it. I love Yorgos Lanthimos. He's one of my favorite directors. I'm excited anytime he makes a movie. He did The Favorite most recently. I think that was his last movie.
Yeah.
Oscar winner, amazing movie.
Yep.
And Emma Stone was also in that, and now she stars in this film. And
Yep.
I'm getting super excited about Emma Stone
Oh,
for,
she's the
for
best.
multiple
Yep.
reasons. When we
She's
get into TV next week,
I
and I don't mean in release date.
Yes.
I mean in record time.
I love Emma Stone.
Yeah. So Poor Things, I think that'll be great.
Favorite epic action for me, it was Guardians 3.
I think Guardians 3 was
I wept.
such a great balance
I wiped.
of storytelling and like how like at the beginning of the Guardian series, if you're like you're gonna cry about this raccoon and his relationship to other weird animals.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so bizarre that they got there, but they did it so well. I love Guardians 3. I think it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie too.
Yeah, great.
I don't have a biggest epic action, so my other category is biggest letdown.
Yeah.
Okay.
No Hard Feelings.
Oh yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence.
R-rated comedy.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you're
it
all
was
excited.
billed as an R-rated comedy. It
Yeah.
was, hey, check out this R-rated comedy.
Right?
Yeah.
The premise is R-rated comedy.
Oh, so I
Yeah.
assume they delivered on this R-rated comedy.
No.
Oh,
Yeah. It's,
what a letdown!
the concept sounds straight out of like early 2000s
Yeah.
Yep.
comedies.
Yeah.
You know, when you were seeing like a Superbad or something like that. Jennifer Lawrence is playing a woman who desperately needs money and is presented with the opportunity to date a kid who just graduated high school, an 18-year-old
Right.
Yeah.
who's going to college. And the
Yeah.
parents are like, he's so sheltered. We want him to lose his virginity now so he doesn't lose his mind when he goes to college. It's straight up like R-rated comedy. Great.
Yeah.
You know, plug a D'Onofrio in there.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
D'Onofrio. Oh my God, why did I say D'Onofrio? The comedy version of Vincent D'Onofrio. Wedding Crashers.
Larry the Cable Guy.
No.
Vince Vaughn?
Vince Vaughn.
I
Thank
was
you.
going to say like a
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
The
it does.
parallel?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I thought you were gonna say like a wacky side character guy that would take the I know
That's what I'm saying. Like
about.
that's what this movie is.
Yeah.
And the first 20 minutes, I'm like, all right, R-rated comedy. This is fun. I miss this because I am I
too.
want those movies
Me
to
too.
come back.
Yeah.
I'm such a proponent.
Me too.
And then the movie starts just taking it seriously.
Yeah.
The jokes, like in the beginning, it's like, this is fun. 15 minutes in, I said to my wife, like, there's not as like the jokes are not there's not as many as you would think. It's
Right.
like they're getting further away. And then the time between jokes just gets longer and
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
Then they start taking this relationship seriously. And I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's like having like a fucking Joanna Man movie. And suddenly it's like serious. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, look at what he's wearing.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Joanna Man.
crazy. It's like if Anchorman suddenly stopped like halfway through to get serious about the relationship between Will Ferrell and Christina Applegate.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
And it really bummed me out. And it made it. And the funny thing is, because they didn't go hard on the comedy, that relationship, the whole time I'm like, this is weird and
Yeah.
gross and wrong.
Yeah.
And
You
it
need the
bums
comedy
me
to,
out.
to distract you from the weirdness.
Yeah, because it's a fucking funny premise.
Right.
Because when it's a
It's an
comedy,
absurd premise.
When it's a comedy, it's like a joke.
Yes.
But when it's a serious story, you're supposed to be invested in these characters, and then you start looking at it from a different lens.
Yeah. So I don't mind in a comedy, you're not thinking about the idea of like, would this woman really like be doing this?
Yeah.
In a comedy, it's like the situation is absurd.
Yeah.
Therefore, all of the things that can happen are
Yeah.
absurd.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just such a bummer. And I was really rooting for it,
Yeah.
like in such a big way.
Yeah.
And I feel like a parent who wants to disown a child. Like I just, and the fact that she went full nudity for that movie, and it's a genuinely funny beat.
Yeah, it is.
And I give her full credit.
Yeah.
And it's not a sexual thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that. It could be a man, a woman. I don't care.
Yeah.
Going full nude for a comedy beat is a brave thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that she did it, and I applaud her for it.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad
Yeah.
that it's for that movie.
Yeah, I know.
You know? So
Yeah.
that's my biggest letdown.
I had favorite actor and favorite actress. However, you guys have said you didn't have anyone for those. I can rattle through mine.
Yeah, sure.
Favorite actors: Glenn Howerton in Blackberry.
Killer.
I thought he did a great
Bravo.
job. One of he and Downey in Oppenheimer are. I forget this is an actor.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that's what you want.
Yeah.
And then I thought Cillian Murphy was great in Oppenheimer. Favorite actress?
Can I just point this out
Yes.
with Howerton? It is funny because his character in Always Sunny,
Yep.
it's almost like he's been preparing for
I
the
agree.
Blackberry
Yeah,
role.
I agree.
Where he's like, now I become full Dennis.
Yes.
By the way, the best thing about Glenn Howerton on the Always Sunny podcast, you really get an insight that he is in the direction of Dennis, and he kind of hates acknowledging that and
Yeah,
hates
yeah.
admitting that it's true. But Rob McElhenney and Charlie Day are just like, yeah, and like it's really, really, really funny.
That's
because
fun.
they get into fights on the show, and it's
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah,
Favorite actress says Anya Taylor-Joy, who was in The Menu,
Yes.
and then Margot Robbie.
oh
That was
yeah,
my other favorite actress.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
My favorite overall movie of the year, the final category, Barbie. I loved the Barbie movie. I realize I am not the target demo for the movie, but
I think that's bullshit. I think that the Barbie the toy
Yeah.
has a demographic
Yeah.
that you don't fit into,
yeah.
except for those certain nights. Because you do have a big. Oh, that's not a Barbie.
no, it's a
Because
doll.
I thought it was a life-size Barbie.
no, it's a doll.
Action figure.
figure.
I think the movie was not marketed where I was watching.
Sure, yeah.
So, but then Margot Robbie's character Barbie gives a speech
Titular.
that was eerily similar to a thing I had said to Chuck like a week or two before I saw it.
Really?
And about like feeling like you're good, but you're not good enough.
Oh,
But in the movie, it's overshadowed because America Ferrera follows it up with an amazing speech.
Can you do me a favor and
Yeah.
not on purpose comedically mispronounce?
Sure, America Ferrera.
A Latina actress. You do that a lot. You do every time there's somebody who is not a white person.
Yes. Yorgos.
Oh, sorry, Yogurt Lanthormo.
Yogurt Lachrymose.
Everybody remembers when Yorgos Lanthimos stole the carbonite frozen on Solo. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's all
I
right.
apologize.
America Ferrera gives this like beautiful speech. And that, that's the one that's it's clipped and it's reeled and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But Margot Robbie's little thing before it about never feeling like you're never good enough is how I feel. And so I connected with that movie on a way I did. I expected to enjoy it. I expected to have fun. Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach, but to connect with it on a level that I did surprised me. So
Yeah.
it was my favorite movie of the year.
That's really wonderful. As a person who had recently lost my grandmother.
Yes.
The scene of her connecting with the creator of Barbie,
Yes.
in a very maternal way,
Right.
Was a hard watch.
Yes.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yep.
I think Barbie is my number one blind spot this year. I really wanted to see it, and the opportunity just never really came up. And so I wish I had seen it before I made my list, but I didn't, and I'll watch it next year. My favorite movie, and I want to preface
The
this.
rules are if you don't see it this year, you can't see it ever.
Yeah.
I want to preface this by saying, usually my favorite movie hits me a little bit closer to home. It's a little bit more like there's something about me that connects to it as well as the filmmaking and everything that goes into the movie. And this one is a little bit more like I didn't really have necessarily a movie that connected with me that much, but this is the closest thing to that. And I'm not taking anything away from the movie. I thought it was awesome. I love the way they made it. And it was Missing. I loved Missing.
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
Missing was killer. I watched this whole behind the scenes thing of how they made it, and it was shocking. It's shocking how much it's honestly akin to Across the Spider-Verse in terms of how they had to create this movie and do all the screens and do all the different stuff. And I really loved it. I love the way that they played with it, the world of it, and it was great. I know a lot of people probably haven't seen that movie. It wasn't heavily marketed, but really
It's a
good.
sequel to Searching.
It's a spiritual sequel.
I
yeah.
downloaded it. I don't want to, I'm not a proponent, but I'm not saying that. But it fell off a truck.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I downloaded the wrong thing. Because I started watching it. It was called Messing.
Oh, okay.
It's different.
Stars Chuck Staten.
That was you under the mask.
Yeah, it's the
I
biography.
would notice that
it's the
incredibly
biography-
small left testicle anywhere.
It's the biography of Deborah Messing.
Yep.
And she
Is
didn't
that
want
what
to
you
do
thought
it.
you were making? I mean, there were a lot of
Is that Grace from
Will and Grace moments.
That
but
is right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So, favorite movie for Raymond?
I don't have a favorite of the year.
Yeah.
No.
It's too difficult because time impacts those decisions.
Yes.
A movie that I would have said was my favorite movie of the year because I saw it in like February, versus seeing something
Yeah.
in December.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult to say what my favorite movie of the year was. So I didn't choose one. I have one last additional category that I
Sure.
will use for this because I would probably put this in the running for favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
And it is it's not a favorite, but it's an immediate addition to the annual Christmas watch list. A movie that I saw that came out this year that I saw with my wife that is a Christmas, it's around Christmas that it takes place.
Right.
And it was immediate. Like halfway through the movie, we looked at each other, we're like, we're watching this every Christmas.
Nice.
Like it's immediate. The Holdovers.
Right.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
It is. I like to call them it's a vibe movie.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it
It's
Paul
not-
Giamatti?
That's
Paul
how I
Giamatti.
expected.
Yeah, it's not a driving storyline. You're invested. It's a character thing. It's relationship of three people coming together, not by choice, but being stuck together.
Right.
And it's it's really touching. It's heartwarming. It gives you that good cry kind of feeling at the end. And the performances are really, really special.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, of course.
Yeah.
I love Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
I was joking around with Kalina yesterday because that's why we started watching John Adams
Oh.
because he stars in it and he's incredible in that. I said to Kalina when I was adding it to HBO, I'm like, we're in a Jamada-sance. We got to do this. Right?
That's funny.
Next up, The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Good movie. I'm a proponent of the
Me too.
Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Anyway, no, that movie is so special, and I have to give credit to, because Paul Giamatti's great. The actress playing the cook that is with them, who's 1/3 of the kind of triumvirate of these people. The only thing I've seen her in beyond that was this season of Only Murders in the Building.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And she was great, and she
Yeah.
had a lot of weight to carry in this movie. She's
Yeah.
playing a person who lost her son in Vietnam, and the young man playing the school kid,
Right.
You know, the student of Paul Giamatti who's stuck at this school for Christmas. It's like his first thing.
Wow.
Wow, cool.
He has one other credit on IMDb, and he is co-lead with Paul Giamatti and holding his own
That's
and doing
crazy.
a great
Yeah,
job.
that's great.
And it just gets me excited. I'm excited about Paul Giamatti now because he's always been an actor I really like.
Yeah.
And he has a flavor that is really special. And I think he's finally getting to an age where that performance and that character type fits the most. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
There are actors, my wife and I do this, like we get excited about performers that we're excited to see what they do moving on.
For sure,
right?
yeah.
Margot Robbie is one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to see what else she does,
Yeah.
right?
The best.
And Paul Giamatti, I feel like, is finally at an age where it can really hit. And a special shout out to the writer-director of the movie. I had it in my mind. I can't think today. I'm so sorry. I had his name like ready to go in my brain, and Brad's gonna save my life.
Alexander Payne
Alexander
was the
Payne.
director, written by David Hemmingson.
Oh, okay. So he didn't write it.
Right.
Maybe that's why. Alexander Payne is a hit or miss writer director. He wrote and directed Downsizing.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember that
Yeah.
movie? Matt Damon.
Yep.
Downsizing is one of the most let down movies ever. It's like the first 20 minutes, you're like, hell yeah, this is a fun movie. Let's see where this goes. I get the social commentary you're making here. This is going to be fun. Oh, no, you're not doing that? And there's another 2 hours, and it's not at all what you said the movie was, showed the movie was in trailers, and told me the movie was for the first 20 minutes, and it just becomes a boring, like, nothing. And Matt Damon just sort of drifts through the story while other characters tell him what to do and think and feel.
Good.
Yeah.
And it completely abandons its very own premise.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I was like, Alexander Payne, maybe The Holdovers is good. Or
Yep.
maybe it's another Downsizing. Fantastic. Like I can't say enough good things about it. So yeah, that's my
I
that's my
looked
thing.
up the woman, the nurse who was in Only
Yeah.
Murders in the Building, also did a voice in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Wow,
So,
it's
That's
her
why you
year.
liked it.
It's
It's her
her
year.
year.
Yeah.
That's why I liked it. Yeah. Antonio Banderas did voice a cat
right.
on the campus of the school. I thought it was a weird scene
Yeah.
because
But
Paul Giamatti's
you know
like,
what?
I'm sad.
Big
blah, blah,
swings.
blah.
Big swings.
The big swings.
Yeah. Oh, there were big swings at the school.
Yeah.
And Jose Canseco was there.
Oh, I don't like
He
that.
takes big swings.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did.
really does,
He did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Zoot Suit Riot was playing,
Love it. Love it.
but
Cherry
it was
poppin' daddies.
but it was like Christmassy.
Wow.
Ooh.
Zoot Suit Riot.
Yeah.
That's a poll. I love that.
Right. Yeah.
That's fun.
I love the movie Swingers.
All right. Keep going. So
That was it.
Tarzan came through.
we don't have older movie I should have seen before.
I don't have that on my list, but if you
Really?
want to throw it down,
I still have a couple things. I have an older movie I should have seen before. It's going to sound crazy.
That was his best film of the year.
Yeah.
Oh no, not
favorite action.
yeah.
Usual Suspects.
Wow.
When I was
You've never seen it.
Here's what happened. When I was a teenager, like 17, someone said to me, "Hey, have you seen Usual Suspects?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "It's awesome. It's this guy, and he's in this interrogation room, and at the end of the movie, the cop finds out that everything he said he was just making up."
Oh yeah.
And it was at a New Year's Eve party, and they're like, "Let's put it on," and they put it on in the background of a New Year's Eve party.
yeah. That's
So
doesn't count.
I think
Yeah.
Usual Suspects, part of the journey is not knowing the ending.
Yeah.
And so I just had never really prioritized it again because I'm like, yeah, it's good. I get it. And I watched it again and I really enjoyed it. And also I'm getting into the John Wick series, which I haven't really watched yet. So I watched the first John Wick movie and I loved it. We're watching Mission Impossible.
Bottom Gun.
Yeah. And we got to get back on it.
Again,
before the
that's
next one
I
comes out.
tried to download Top Gun.
Yeah.
I got Bottom Gun. Very different.
And my
Chuck
other,
was in that one.
my
there's a literal goose in that.
my last
Oh wait, real quick. If you liked Usual Suspects, you look disappointed. This is a
go ahead.
genuine thing. I'm trying to engage with it. The one of the co-stars of the movie, the one that is the main suspect that everybody thinks did it, that actor is the star of the Coen brothers film Miller's Crossing.
that guy is
Yeah.
awesome. And I'm
Yeah.
like, was he not in a lot of other stuff?
He was in stuff, but he's one of those people where you just don't think about it, and he pops up. And Miller's Crossing,
I watched Miller's Crossing for the first time this year.
that's a great movie.
Yeah.
I love Miller's Crossing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's funny. That guy
Miller's
almost.
Crossing shot in Mark Norman's childhood home.
Oh, that's weird. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Scenes were shot in. Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I
He's in the
remember someone
background.
saying that.
yeah.
At one point, he goes, "Irish people."
Don't you feel like? Don't you feel like that actor is like another version of Willem Dafoe, kind of?
Yeah, he has a
It's
Willem
so
Dafoe
weird.
kind of vibe to him. Yeah, for sure. But check out Miller's
I will.
Crossing.
I will.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about that.
Oh, I love Miller's Crossing. So good. Oh,
The other one we
that
always
was me coming.
What's the rumpus?
The other category we always did before on the Chuck and Brad podcast was the Independent Spirit Award, which is kind of like your indie movie, your indie. What I don't know what you called it, but
That's
you had
just
one
favorite
already.
indie. Yeah.
So the Independent Spirit Award, which is really about something that's kind of
which is a real thing.
I
by
know
the
that's
way.
why it's funny.
Yeah.
It's like this is like
You said that so pissed off. Are you mad? No, I can't tell.
so. Here's what it is.
I don't think the camera catches like the exact eye contact
at the end of the thing?
the eye language, like the unspoken language of the eyes that you're giving me is like,
no.
I hate you.
No.
And it's fun.
No, Independent Spirit Award. I had no expectations for this. I did not think it was going to be good. I went because it was like a social thing. Godzilla -1.
Wow.
Which was
Sure, of course.
It's not part of the Godzilla Kong movies that are coming out. It's made in Japan by Toho, and it has to do with a kamikaze war pilot after World War II being ashamed that he didn't kill himself.
yeah.
And the people in the movie are like, yeah, you should be. Like,
Right,
that's how it is,
right.
which is so bizarre as a main storyline. But it was just a really good movie. It was
I've
just-
heard nothing but good things.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Genuinely.
Aren't you kind of surprised?
Yes.
I don't think I'm that surprised. I think if anybody, I don't know. I think with as many like run-ups to Godzilla as there have been,
Yeah.
I think it was a matter of time to kind of hit on one where you're like, all right, there we go.
I think that the action stuff in this and the destruction is really good. You're going to be really,
Yeah.
really happy with that.
Is it true what I heard too is like they finally have an anatomically correct Godzilla?
Yes,
That
finally. It's
that
just
his
dragging through the
dong
water.
is smashing buildings.
Well, here's
his dong does 8 9/11s.
Here's one thing that's interesting. Godzilla -1 is the
16
title.
buildings.
And going in, I'm like, I don't know what that means. I guess I'll know by the end of the movie. No fucking idea. No explanation of what it means.
Does it represent like prequel, like -1?
That's
like
what
it's
everyone is-
before the first Godzilla.
Yeah.
That's what everyone assumed? No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what it is because I looked it up.
Don't because that don't.
No,
don't
it's not in the
usual
movie.
Suspects us.
No, it's not in the movie. It just,
Oh,
You don't
okay.
find this out in the movie at all.
Yeah.
They said that they called it Godzilla -1 because World War II took Japan back to zero. And then in this movie, it takes place immediately after that. So it takes Japan to -1.
Oh.
Wow.
Very weird.
I
And
thought
it's never explained in the movie. Never even hinted at. They
I
don't
thought-
even say, like, they took us back to zero. They don't even say that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a rom-com, but like Godzilla's wife had left, and now he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's like a weird '80s sitcom.
I was gonna say
it's
it, yeah,
Godzilla
it is.
-1.
Yeah.
So my honorable mentions, I thought Evil Dead Rise was really, really like a great horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I just didn't really have much of a plot. It was like,
Right.
there's these deadites here.
Yeah.
We got to leave. And that's the whole movie, but it was very, very well done in terms of like horror.
Can I say
cinematography?
I'm waiting for an Evil Dead because we've seen a few Evil Deads. I'm waiting for one to remember that it's funny at times.
Well, I guess I kind of think that maybe they think Ash versus the Evil Dead, the series,
Yeah.
is pulling in that way, and Evil Dead, like the new ones, like the last one and this one, are more in just the scary way. But I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
I almost am like, this could be called something different.
Right, and there's also like room for it.
I agree. 100%.
And don't get me wrong, like I think Deadites are amazing creations.
Yeah.
Right? I think the idea of a Deadite is like, hey, we took zombies, but now they have the memories of the people you love
Yeah.
and want to actively fuck with you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. They went,
Yes.
let's take zombies, add in The Exorcist.
Exactly, that's what it is.
And throw some more demon shit in.
Yes.
And we'll put it all together.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's a
Yeah.
perfect Sam Raimi. Hats
Yeah.
off to you. Rats off to you.
And my other two honorable mentions: Don't Let Go, another movie that's kind of smaller. It didn't have a big marketing budget, obviously, and it's very limited in terms of its scope. Really loved the concept. Really loved a lot of what they were doing. I don't think it wraps up super well, but the whole movie they really did a good job with this. I thought it was great. Alfred Molina's in it, and he is a kind of a smaller part, but he's awesome. And then finally, there's this movie by Guy Ritchie that like no one saw, called Operation Fortune.
Yep.
And I feel like I didn't see it marketed whatsoever.
Right.
And I thought it was very fun. It was a very fun action movie starring Jason Statham and Aubrey Plaza.
Wow.
And like, I don't know, did you even hear about it really?
No, I haven't heard it. And I love Guy Ritchie.
It's crazy.
I'm a proponent of Guy Ritchie. I will admit he's taken swings, and when they connect, it's fun. But boy, has he missed a few times. It's
funny.
tough. I love Guy Ritchie.
It's funny because you think of Guy Ritchie, you know who fucking is the best part of this movie? Hugh Grant as a badass piece of shit. I've never seen him take on a role like this, and he is so like, you just love it. It feels like it's in the world of Snatch.
Yeah.
And I really, really
Well,
thought
he
it
was
great.
in another recent Guy Ritchie
Yes.
movie as well as a like smarmy guy.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the name of that? The Gentleman?
Yes.
I think it was The
Yes.
Gentleman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was also a smarmy guy in Dungeons and Dragons.
That's
Honorable
right.
mention.
Yeah.
Right, you told me that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say if you like Guy Ritchie
And a smarmy guy in Wonka.
Wow.
and in the interviews about Wonka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you are just like, yeah, I'd like to see like a fun kind of like cool action movie, it's gonna blow your expectations away. Josh Hartnett is one of the main characters.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett, Jason Statham, Aubrey Plaza, and Hugh Grant.
Yeah, I'll have to
It's
check it
just-
out,
It's just
for
crazy,
sure.
but
Yeah.
but don't have like insane expectations. It's just fun action.
Nice.
Yeah. No, there's Guy Ritchie has done some really, really fun ones.
Yeah.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
know.
was really fun and should not have been.
I
Like it was
know.
really fun and exciting.
I love his Sherlock Holmes take. I love that.
And Rock and Rolla.
Rock and
I'm
Rolla.
so disappointed because that was intended to be a trilogy.
Yep.
It even says the boys will be back in Rock and Rolla 2.
Yep.
And it never happened.
I
And I
know.
thought Rock and Rolla was great.
Killer.
Yeah.
I loved it. I know. I saw that in theaters and I was like, this is fucking
Him
awesome.
doing like comedic ensemble action that's a comedy of errors.
Yeah.
Is so fun.
Yeah.
And it, unfortunately, I don't know. I maybe it's not there for him. Who knows? But like The Gentleman was great. Everybody really liked that. I'd like to see him do more.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
would.
Give this a shot. Watch it one night. I think you'll really like it.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
really fun. Have you watched it?
No, not yet.
No, I'm going to ask you again off mic so
What
I
the
can
actual-
tap
yeah.
it into my phone.
Yeah, and it's funny because it has a subtitle, but it's Ruse de Guerre or something. I don't even know what it is.
Ruse de Guerre?
It's RUSEDEGUERRE.
Yeah, so de Guerre is like you can have a nom de guerre,
Well, here's what's weird.
which is like a fake name.
yeah.
So this is a ruse de guerre.
and
This
the main guy's name is Fortune, so that's why it's Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Who's Operation? Aubrey Plaza?
I think it's
She's
yeah,
the surgeon.
Yeah, she's yeah. They actually play Operation.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God. This is the cynical part of me. How long until we get
An Operation movie.
an Operation movie?
I already have some ideas.
You already have the headwear for it.
Well, what's funny is my idea.
no.
My idea.
Dr. Genius, no!
My idea is basically a sketch of the person who works at Milton Bradley, who's like, water in the knee, operate, and it's a piece of shit
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
just like a lunatic doctor who wants to operate on everybody even though it doesn't need to happen.
What happened? He put a pencil in my leg. Right? He put an apple in my
All
Yeah.
all I had was a frog in my throat, and he operated on me. Like that's the kind of thing I love about
Did they do that to you?
Operation.
Oh man, I have you seen the new horror movie Don't Wake Daddy? It just shoots up. Oh man, we're in a fun place.
Yes.
Doesn't it feel like we're kind of like swirling, and it's like either wow, what a weird time where things were shifting, everything was changing.
Yes.
But also, what happens is you look back and you could go, that's when everything collapsed.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Because change and death look an awful lot alike, right?
do.
I don't know why I was animated like Mark Norman. Change and comedy. Anyway,
Fatalism.
that's great.
He's been doing that all the time.
Nihilism.
He goes, charity. He did that.
Oh,
Recently.
I did.
Yeah.
I think I did Irish Goodbye the other night.
Oh yeah.
I was leaving. I'm like Irish Goodbye.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the first half of our Funbammies.
What?
Yeah.
We have more
What?
categories coming up next episode or next week.
Is that why that guy with an AK-47 was standing at the
Yeah,
door
so
when I came
that
in?
so that you couldn't leave.
Shit.
Yep.
Well, don't wake Daddy.
Yep.
He is sleeping. He's a large man.
Well, don't wake
If
daddy.
you have
That's a funny thing to say.
if you have
That's why I said it.
Well, I mean, in general, from now on.
Yeah. When I come,
I guess it means. Well, I guess for me, it means.
sorry.
don't wake Daddy.
Sorry. I woke Daddy.
I meant it for like.
Oh
basically-
yeah, when you're in the act, don't
Like-
wake Daddy. Don't wake Daddy. Oh, you woke him up. Operation.
So dumb.
You sung my battle song. What other games can you say? Sorry. Yeah.
That one's
Yeah. Connect 4.
Yeah.
I don't know.
folks. If you have
Sorry's good. I
if
like
you
that.
have recommendations, the Pop-O-Matic bubble. I can't find the Pop-O-Matic bubble.
Oh God, it fell off. Hang on, the bubble fell off. Yeah, I can hear it.
If you have
Mousetrap.
I was just shouting the names. If you have comments or questions about any of the things we talked about in this episode,
Right hand pink.
if there were films or restaurants or podcasts or whatever the other category was that you think we missed and should check out, let us know. Send us an email, funbearablepod@gmail.com.
Oh, Colonel Mustard. I'm gonna do it in you.
It's the worst one.
How do you want it? With a lead pipe in the study.
I cannot end this soon enough.
Oh, we've got more games.
For Ray Harrington and Chuck Staten, I'm Brad Rohr saying thank you so much.
Desperately trying to think of more games.
And we're sorry for being Funbearable.
You're going straight to jail.
Stop the camera.
Do not pass go.
Oh, free parking.
Baltic Avenue.
I hate it all.
Shoots and Ladders and Candyland are the two. I got.
Oh, guess who? So bad.